Bushwhacks were some of the worst days I've ever had in the mountains, or life, really.
Whereas Panther Mountain is totally opposite. It's a mountain on top of a crater.
I think the weather challenges on this incident were particularly difficult.
It was really the development of New York State. Catskills were responsible.
Now you're listening to Inside the Line, the Catskill Mountains podcast.
So, 197, Jeff Jotz joined us tonight, listener spotlight, contributor to the show. He is a prolific hiker in New Jersey and up in the Catskills as well with his amazing dog Orla. You can check them out online. Orla is a legend. Jeff is somewhat of a legend as well. I think Orla has made you a legend, correct?
Yeah, nobody cares what I do. They all want to see what the dog does.
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
Just like kids.
Right.
Speaking of the dog, where is the dog?
The dog, well, the dog is unavailable. Her agent would not make her available tonight. She has a prior commitment on the sofa right now, happily snoozing away.
Gotcha.
Because we just took a 2-mile walk in the park.
Jealous.
Yeah, I am too. But no, I'd rather be here.
Yes, hell yeah. So good. Once again, episode 197. Sad news. 200th episode, live episode. I don't think it's going to happen just because of scheduling is just a pain in the ass. So it's just been back and forth of scheduling, like between different people saying they don't have the space. They do have the space. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's not going to cost. So I think we're going to hold off to like January and do like a 200th episode, like celebration.
Why January?
Because of freaking holidays, man. It's just November, December.
People doing like holiday parties and those things.
Correct. And January will be nice and smooth, and we'll see what we can do. So sorry about that.
I get the impression it looks like Jeff has got a lot of space there. He's got a sofa big enough for a dog, a clipboard hanging on the wall. We could probably do it at Jeff's place.
We could do. I live in an apartment. I guess we can cram everybody in here.
Yeah.
You know? We can fit everybody. We'll have room for everyone. You know, the dog will get off the sofa. She might be getting a dog bed for Christmas. So,
oh, really?
One more seat on the sofa for the public.
How does Santa get that down the chimney?
I don't know. Well, I live next to a pet store, so Santa can just probably throw it across the street if he has to.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
fantastic.
So, I think we should do the 200th in a lean-to.
I mean,
Elm Ridge,
Mink Hollow.
Yeah. I think that would be a great
I nominate
place.
Biscuit Brook. It was immaculately clean. My mother would have approved of how clean it was when I was there last weekend.
Do you know what else is awesome about Biscuit Brook Lean-To? Nobody does.
The Thunderbox? I don't know.
Yes, the Thunderbox. One of two in the Catskills.
Where's the other one?
Batavia the Batavia area.
A lean-to, yep.
I believe I did see one near Alder Lake. What's that shelter a few miles from Alder Lake on the way to Balsam Mountain?
Oh wow! I didn't know there was a Thunderbox there.
I believe there's a Thunderbox there.
Yeah. It's amazing we started with this kind of chat.
It's going to be a shitty episode.
We're all 12-year-old boys at heart.
Yeah. Exactly. So this is this is really messed up. If everybody's been listening to the episodes, past like 15 episodes, we covered this back when it started back in September, I believe.
That's when he did it. Well, it was September. No, he did it in September of last year, and then the litigation ensued, and then this fall, end of summer, either the verdict or the plea deal, and he was awaiting sentencing. I think whether he was going to have to spend money, spend time behind bars, or do both. And then what happened, Stosh?
So Michelino Sinceri cut a switchback going up or down to the Teton Peak up in the Grand Tetons, setting the fastest known time. But when he cut that switchback, they said no fastest known time. You did something wrong. You didn't find the trail. You didn't do the right way. And then all of a sudden he was charged from the national park, Grand Teton National Park, with what was it? Prohibit shortcutting federal trails, Class B misdemeanor, $5,000 fine, 6 months in jail, and this shit just hits the fan from there on. Just keeps going to court, back and forth, stuff like that. Tad already said, what's the best thing about this? The freaking lawyers making the money. This is just
some money.
Yeah, it's just the stupidest thing. And then all of a sudden, we get a message on Instagram from what's his name? Oh God,
Ed.
Ed had sent. I always refer to him as Cole Forbin because of his name. Ed sends us a message that he has been pardoned by President Trump of this, and I'm just like, this got to be April Fool's? This is crazy. How does he know about what's going on besides in the national parks because he wants to drill? But how does he know about this? And 100% happened. So now
you say that. I call it fake news. It's all just a big hoax. That's my take on it. Yeah. Orla's coming in. She's going to take the mic from Jeff. She's going to give us her 2 cents.
Yeah. She rarely barks. So I don't know. She's more of this strong, silent type.
Nice. But it's just crazy. I'm just like, this guy. I mean, I understand that this should have never went to court. Never should have done this shit. It's just totally stupid. And then,
oh, come on. I disagree with that. If it's off limits, it's off limits. What if everybody had that attitude? I'm going to take that shortcut. I'm going to trample this. I'm going to trample that and just ruin it for future generations. I think, the person who innocently does this, maybe you don't want to prosecute him because it's not going to hit any radar screen. It's not going to be reported in the news. But then this Michelino, he does it. He's the type of person that if you're a prosecutor, you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to make an example of this guy. And you pour in all that effort to prosecute him. You get your conviction or plea, however it ends up. And then what happens? Donald Trump gives him a pardon. How Trump even know that this is going on? You telling me that Trump follows hikers and fastest known times?
And that's why I thought it was freaking an April Fool's joke. And I'm like, it's not even April Fool's. How does he even know about this?
Yeah, it's insane. It's now I wonder if Trump follows chicken fat. Remember him?
Yeah, right? Yeah, of course. I mean, he's just no sleeping in Porter Johns, Yeah. It's just the way it is. But it just blows my mind that all of a sudden this happens and he's it's gone. It's over with somewhat. And I'm just like, wow.
What do you think, Jeff? What's your take?
I'm not surprised. Look, someone with the president's ear, someone had the president's ear. And, this administration has pardoned, I think I read today, 2,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Since the beginning of the year, which is more than the last few administrations combined. All it takes is a call from a well-connected donor and, it's done.
True.
Done deal.
Wow. Yeah, so I guess that's done, Tad. We can throw that out of the podcast forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unless he's going to join us and talk about how something happened in the presidency where he did something underneath the table, like what we heard. Oh,
somebody who gets a pardon from President Trump is not coming on this podcast over my dead body. That's where I draw the line. Okay.
I think something happened with Bubba and stuff like that. Michelino had to do something.
Yeah.
Tad doesn't know about that. He doesn't.
Bubba? I don't know what Bubba. I see Jeff is smiling. I'm looking dumb as normal.
I mean,
I'm vaguely aware. I try to go in the woods to avoid this.
So do I. But the memes are great. The memes are great.
Yes.
All right.
The meme game is strong.
Let's hit on to the next.
I'm gonna have to Google. All right, you guys scroll along. I'm Googling Bubba.
So we seem to keep always, I mean, this Catskill podcast, we seem to keep going to the Adirondacks because it just seems like crazy stuff is happening up there. So we're talking about Gore Mountain right now. So delays hit $40 million project on Gore Mountain. So town officials revised the ski bowl agreement. It's sparking attention with the Olympic Authority. Now, the Olympic Authority seems to be on everybody's freaking hit list, shit list, whatever it is. They're doing stuff back and forth. So the operators recently did a $40 million project to help the historic town part, but it is hitting some uncertainty and stuff like that from the town officials after they've revised the term of a draft mandorium. An understanding recently developed between the town of Johnsburg and the state Olympic Regional Development Authority. So the town board meeting started earlier, a week ago, and plan budget hearing, stuff like that. It is disagreement now with the Olympic Regional District Authority. Officials say that it is still on the back burner. It is a disposal plan arose because of the town sewer system, which they had previously dealed to hook into, and it's still under construction. Looking for revenues, stuff like that. Saying that they didn't create the problem, but were expected to incur the cost. Officials saying that the causing of the series of problems, the latest being the changes, said that it's just waiting for responses as well. So definitely a weird situation going on with the Olympic Regional Development Authority in all aspects of New York State. I mean, we just had Mount Van Hoevenberg talking about what's going on up there with the election, the voting and stuff like that. And then, with the cutting down of trees at the mountain park up there, they're getting hit by everything, eh?
Well, let's ask Jeff about his opinion on this. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, from reading the story, guys, I mean, I'm not really too familiar with the debates going on over Gore Mountain, but I mean, this happens a lot of places. Rural officials want growth, but then they get kind of cold feet sometimes, and a lot of it has to do with poop again. Here we go.
Right.
Sewer capacity. That's an issue that goes beyond the Adirondacks. That happens in urban towns, in suburban towns. These sewer systems were built decades ago for smaller populations, and any developer will come in and promise you the moon, but there's a lot of costs involved, and clean water is a big one. And this is no different than happens in my community or other communities. We obviously don't have a ski resort here, but it's the ever never ending struggle between conservation and economic development.
True. Damn.
Yeah. So my take on this has nothing to do with the delays or the friction between Gore Mountain and the local township. My take is $40 million being spent on a state-owned, controlled, and operated ski area when I couldn't imagine Hunter Mountain, Windham, Plattekill, for sure, being able to dump $40 million into their physical plant like the state does. And obviously the state spends $40 million on a place like Gore to pump up skier traffic, which takes skier traffic away from these other privately run places. And I'm all for skiing. I used to be an avid skier, but I also am very sympathetic towards the privately owned and operated ski areas like Plattekill and many others throughout the country. You can't compete with a place like Gore. It's a shame. They get $40 million. What's their debt service on that money? Probably spit. Plattekill would probably have a hard time going out and borrowing $4 million and maybe even just $1 million. And I'm not putting them down, but that's probably the reality of it. Part of the charm of Plattekill is they have old fixed chairlifts, which don't promote heavy traffic downhill on the one hand. On the other hand, a lot of people don't go there because they have old, slow lifts and they have, not a state-of-the-art snowmaking system, et cetera, like that. Gore Mountain, putting a big, modern, fancy lodge in, bigger, faster chairlift, more snowmaking capacity, and then a zip line for summer recreation.
And also, how many runs does Gore have compared to Platicle?
It's a much bigger ski area,
of course,
and they also have the benefit of being further up north, so they have a colder climate, which means more natural snow, more snowmaking days.
Mm-hmm. But this is all pumped into by us, by the state, so they don't have to rely on people just paying for their lift tickets and stuff like that. That's what's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I feel for somebody like, the owners of Plattekill and the owners of so many other privately owned and operated ski areas, that where your ski area is located, if you have a bad winter and you can't blow a lot of snow and you get a lot of rain, your revenue is going to go down for that year, and it's going to impact your ability to stay in business subsequent years. But for the state of New York and the Olympic Authority, not a big deal.
Yeah. And, looking forward into this, they have what they call a Plan C, Tad, which once again, we're talking about poop shit, which is holding waste in a $50,000 or 50,000 gallon tank. But it was ruled out because of ground contamination and around the other tanks, and needed the state to investigate. So the shit keeps piling up there at Gore Mountain.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to what Jeff said, is one of the limiting factors on development is your ability to treat wastewater. Apparently there's capacity problems up where Gore Mountain is. The local municipality had to upgrade their system. They fell behind schedule in doing that. But one of the things that is often overlooked when it comes to wastewater treatment plants is the wastewater is pumped, usually for a system that size, is going to be pumped into or discharged into a natural waterway like a creek, stream, river, which then elevates the temperature of that water, which then impacts the trout and other aquatic life in it, as well as, some nutrients left over from the wastewater get pumped in as well. So it just changes that ecosystem. But that's inevitable with development. People just have to stop shitting. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and
hold your poop.
Or stop going all the way up to the Adirondacks to ski. Go to Plattekill.
No, don't go to Plattekill. Leave it for the locals.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, support your locals though. Like it's a lose-lose situation. You want to support them, but you don't want them to go like too big and then get overwhelmed and stuff like that. It sucks. And
well, let's be honest. Okay. On the one hand, support Plattekill ski area. On the other hand, Stosh wants them on the show and they haven't come on this show. Okay.
I've spoke personally with the owner and their social media person. We're saying we're gonna have to do a boycott Plattekill until they get on the show. What do you think of that, Jeff? Should we do that?
I mean, it's free publicity. Yeah. How can they not like it? Any publicity is just free publicity at this point. I am not a skier, Tad. I haven't skied in 30 years. My other activities is in liquid water. I swim frequently.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, I see your posts doing some ocean swimming.
Yes, exactly.
Very cool.
And we'll talk about that because in New Jersey, I can hike in the morning, then drive to the beach in the afternoon and hop in and have a swim all in the same day.
And stop and get a sub on the way at Jersey Mike's.
You could do that a lot of places, Tad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a chain.
Oh, yeah. So poop is hitting everything in Adirondacks. So stay in the Catskills, everybody. So enjoy the Catskills. So wintertime. So also last week, the Ranger report came out a little bit late. So we got one from last week on November 4th, 12:30 p.m. Ulster County Dispatch requested Forest Ranger assistance for a hiker with a leg injury on Phoenicia, Mount Tobias Wild Forest. GPS coordinates placed the hiker on a steep section of the long path just south of Warner Creek. Rangers Franceschina, Jeffrey, and Rusher responded with Woodstock Fire and EMS. At 2:30 p.m., Ranger Rusher reached the 57-year-old hiker from Stony Point and stabilized the leg injury with a splint. Due to the cold weather and lack of movement, the patient was also shivering. Rusher provided layers of clothing and worked with the rest of the hiking party to start a fire. Woodstock EMS provided additional care, including pain relief. Rangers used a wheeled litter to extract the patient from Cross Warner Creek. Rescuers made it out to a Shandaken in ambulance at 6 p.m. So it was a 5.5 hour rescue. And it's Warner Creek. That's a beautiful trail. Looks like they were going up the plateau, I would think.
The air. I'm looking at my Avenza map of the trail stash, and where one of the elevation to Warner Creek it's about 3 miles plus from the nearest parking area. So kudos to the Rangers for reaching the gentleman as quickly as they did.
Yeah, it's a very interesting path. It's pretty. I would say it was one of the newer trails in the Catskills. It's actually well developed. It's got a bunch of switchbacks in the beginning, and then you go up towards the end. It kind of gets pretty shitty going up the plateau. It's just a straight up mess of dirt. But who knows where they might have hurt their leg and stuff.
So you think he was on that part of the trail going up plateau? I have him on the other side because they say crossing Warner. Yeah, that trail crosses Warner Creek to the west of that. What do they call it? Not Mink Hollow, but that road that runs through there. And that's where I thought he was from this description.
So that would mean he would be going up Tremper.
Or coming down,
or either or. Yeah. So they would be going up and down Tremper Point.
Yeah. So when the description says hiker on a steep section of the long path just south of Warner Creek, if that is where I think it is, that is a very steep, gnarly, untrail-like section of that trail. It's basically trying to go through just a huge, I'm going to call it like a talus slope or just big rocky drainage. It's pretty gnarly. I mean, you're hiking on this nice trail when you're on the long path going through there. And the next thing you know, it's just like out of the ordinary boulders, rocky,
Sound like the Catskills to me.
Yeah, but it's just all of a sudden it just takes a completely different twist in terms of the character of the trail, what you're hiking over, and it's steep. And then once you get down through that section, you do a little more hiking. You go through, there's some interesting old stone foundations down there, and then you cross Warner Creek heading towards Plateau. And that's where from this description, that's where I put the guy.
So nonetheless, he was heading up towards or down from Tremper.
Yeah.
And it does, that little area, like I said, I can recall that is one of those areas that it's not just like the Warner Creek going up Plateau. This was more of the older developed areas that they just said, screw this, we're going to go up this mountain no matter what, straight forward and go. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's understandable. You're coming down, you could be on your way, you're moving. So, I mean, at 12:30 p.m., 57-year-old seems like he was, whatever. So shit happened. So thank you once again. Rusher, we had him on the show. Awesome guy. Franceschina, Jeffrey. So good job. So recently, within the last hours, got some new updates. So on November 15th, which was 3 days ago, Greene County 911 requested forest ranger assistance to a lost hiker on Mount Mink near the summit of Slide Mountain Hollow. Tad, you're going to have to come in with this after I'm done. 53-year-old from New Jersey became disoriented near the Mink Hollow lean-to, and the subject's phone battery was dead. Thankfully, individuals already at the lean-to called 911 to request ranger assistance and helping the hiker get back on the right trail. Fox responded to the assisted hiker and got them out of the woods Notch Lake. Resources were clear at 10:30 p.m. 8 p.m., so that means they were in the dark. And then 10:30 p.m. is 2 hours later. So, once again, Notch Lake Slide Mountain Hollow, Mount Mink. I have never heard of this shit before. This is
Yeah. I think that's like the Catskills in a different dimension.
right. Like,
Yeah, it's not the Catskills that we live in. It's like some other dimension of the Catskills.
and looking at the different maps, like even old maps don't have Mount Mink. Slide Mountain Hollow. Never heard of this. And then Mink Hollow lean-to would put them on the other side of Plateau, would put them on the east side of Plateau.
Yeah.
Where's the Mink Hollow? So somebody had AI do this shit and they messed up.
Yeah, this is why I think that they didn't put the time that they found him.
Yeah.
Because, it's embarrassing maybe that it took them longer than whatever, but yeah. Slide, and we're reading this correctly, sports fans. It says Slide Mountain Hollow and Mount Mink near the summit of Slide Mountain Hollow. So if it's a hollow, it doesn't have a fucking summit.
Correct.
Does it? Okay.
And then Notch Lake is nowhere near Slide Mountain, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, I've never heard of a Mount Mink near that area.
Mm-hmm.
Not even an old, I wouldn't say scriptures, more old maps and stuff. Mount Mink, I think I don't even think I've heard referred to anything about Mount Mink.
Yeah, so we can drill into this deeper. The Mink Hollow lean-to between Slide and Sugarloaf, no cell phone service. You're not making a call to 911 in there.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I don't think so.
Between Plateau and Sugarloaf.
Yeah. And what lean-tos are there around Slide Mountain, in and around Slide? Raise your hand or just shout out the answer if you know it, Jeff. What lean-to is on Slide Mountain?
There is no lean-to on Slide Mountain.
Yeah, stop getting answers from Orla, okay?
That was my cat.
Oh, all right. Well, so the cat knows. Yeah,
Yes.
there's no.
Biscuit Brook is a local. And then there's the lane, what's it called? It's over near Wittenberg. I mean, that's closest as well.
Down. That's
Terrace.
terrace lean-to.
Terrace. Yeah.
But still, Mount Mink. So
good thing we weren't searching for this guy. We'd still be out there.
Exactly.
Slide Mountain Hollow. No,
yeah. So then also the next day in Ulster County, there was a search. It's November 16th at 12 p.m. So 911 contacted Raybrook Dispatch to send rangers to a call for a hiker with difficulty breathing near the summit of Slide Mountain. Ranger Sweeney made a phone contact with a 30-year-old from New Jersey. The original group was 8 hikers. 4 were experienced and left the novice hikers behind. Long pause. The hiker who needed help has asthma but didn't bring an inhaler. There's freaking problem number 2. While the Rangers Horde and Stratton responded, Sweeney told the group to stay where they were and wait for help. Approximately 15 minutes later, Sweeney called the group again, and the hiker was breathing much better. Horn and Stratton led the search with Big Indian Fire Department and Shandaken EMS responded to the trailhead. At 2 p.m., rescuers found the hiker in good health, and the subject refused further medical attention. Resources were clear at 4:30. 4 experienced left the novice hikers behind. Yeah. So hopefully if any of you that are listening to this show that were one of the 4 experienced hikers, please stop listening to this show. And I don't know what the hell else to say. That's absolutely kind of rule number 1 when out in the backcountry is leave no hiker behind, no matter what.
So Jeff, have you ever seen somebody having an asthma attack?
There's someone I hike with, and she actually has a heart condition where she'll, I believe it's tachycardia. So she can feel it coming on. So she'll have to sit down and rest until her heart rate gets back to normal. I never leave her behind. She's aware of her medical condition and she's being treated for it. I've never had anyone get an asthma attack though on a hike.
Yeah. So I remember the first time I ever saw somebody having an asthma attack. It wasn't on a hike, but it was such a startling, shocking, and scary thing to witness I had never seen that before, and it was just like, to me, it was just shocking. It seems like you're watching somebody suffocate from the inside, like their throat is getting constricted from the inside. They can't breathe. They're in a high level of physical distress. And then imagine being on trail. One person in your group is having like an asthma attack like that. And you, Jeff and Stosh, because you're the experienced hikers, do you leave?
We got to go summit. I got to catch this summit. Let's go.
Or you have summit fever. You're going to do like the Hillary step and make it to the top of Everest. And it's like, fuck, I don't care about that person. Right. I just couldn't imagine leaving somebody in that state and continuing on with the hike. I don't care who else was in the group, even if like the other 3 people with the person having the attack were all like ER doctors and respiratory therapists and shit like that, that you would actually like leave your hiking buddy on the trail and just continue. I don't understand that. Yeah.
Once again, that's like rule number 1 when hiking is leave no hiker behind. And I could only remember, I've done this before, but we had a similar incident a long time ago of where somebody was having these kind of experiences back in Biscuit Brook area, and they left the hiker behind to summit Big Indian and Fur. Wow. And it was the group of the Hudson Valley Hikers, which is basically like you're all for yourself. And these people were like, hey, we need a summit. And they never checked back up on the person. They left the person at their spot of which was basically the Biscuit Brook area, and then left. They all left. They seriously never returned for that person. That person called 911, and the Rangers came out, found the person, and brought him back. Like that's just completely fucked up.
You say that, and you say it's fucked up, but then again, if they left that person on the Thunderbox, maybe it was okay. Come on, Jeff, just laugh out loud. I see you smiling there. Huh?
It was a very attractive Thunderbox. There could be worse places to be stuck.
Yeah, there's nothing like sitting on the Thunderbox at the break of day.
I don't think you guys are well aware of where that Thunderbox like is, because like, have you ever sat on that Thunderbox? I have sat on that. I'm not
going to admit to sitting on the Thunderbox. Jesus. What the hell, man?
Ego?
Jeff, if you want to just like unplug and go on and hang out with Orla now, I mean,
Jeff says this is real. Stosh is real. He's going to admit to this stuff. That Thunderbox, when you're on it, you're facing the trail that comes down from Biscuit Brook. So people can see you if you're on it. It's so messed up. And I'm just like this is like not a really good place area. Like maybe they should
for a Thunderbox.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and they're above you. Like they can see you, like they're hey.
They can see the thunder. So I think right after the DEC does the bridge over the West Branch of the Neversink, they should relocate that Thunderbox.
I seriously think it's hilarious. You know, what a way to catch somebody. Like if you had cell service, be like, is he on the Thunderbox? Let's do a surprise birthday party. Surprise! Like it'd be so good. All right. So once again, messed up. If anybody has any information on that, I would like to know to publicly shame them, because I'm not into bullying, but that's a little fucked up. Like
I mean, we weren't there. Maybe they had a really good reason for moving on, but it seems so improbable to me that there was a good reason to move on.
Yeah, I will chat about the stuff like that. Something's not like that, but stuff like that today. So
yeah,
excellent. Shooting the shit. Jeff, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Tad, glad you could join us. Once again, Tad wasn't supposed to be here tonight. It's really good to see him.
I'm doing this all like on first impression.
You know what's good?
The show notes and whatnot. Yeah.
Stosh, I have been told that I have loosened you up, and that you basically, this is my thing to saying, you're saying fuck you to your job and being like, I'm doing this podcast. It means a lot to me.
I told my wife when I got home tonight that I'm not working anymore. We're quitting. We're selling the house, and we're moving to Oneonta, and we're living with Stosh. We're going to live in his garage, right? And we're going to build a Thunderbox out back, so we don't disturb him and his wife inside.
I got a nice little 205 highway that people can wave to you while you're on it. That's good.
I don't have a problem with that, because Stosh, you've brought me out of the workplace and onto the Thunderbox, and I'm okay with that.
as we should all be. All right.
Yeah, why is it called a Thunderbox anyway? I mean, where is that? We should have asked that last week when we had, what's his name? Eric on.
Yeah,
he was
right.
into those toponyms, right? We should DM him. We need to know why it's called a Thunderbox.
All right.
Why can't they build 4 walls and put a roof on top of it? Okay. Really?
That is weird. It just says it's a slang term for a portable box like toilet. Yeah, I don't know. So let's get on. Big thank you to the monthly supporters, Bob McClin, Chris Garabine, Jeff, Jotz, Vicky Ferrer, Mikey S., John Comiskey, Summit Seekers, Desert City Radio, Betsy A., Denise W., Vanessa, Jim C., and Eric. You guys are so awesome. Thank you for supporting the show, and thank you for supporting the Catskills as well. Your money will go not into just the show, but back into the Catskills, just like our amazing sponsors, like Outdoor Chronicles Photography. So you should capture your love story against breathtaking backdrops with Outdoor Chronicles Photography. Molly specializes in adventure couple photography, and she'll immortalize your moments amidst stunning landscapes of the Catskills, Adirondacks, and White Mountains. She'll craft timeless images that reflect unique bond in nature's grandeur. Embark on an unforgettable photographic journey with Outdoor Chronicles Photography. Don't hesitate to get a hold of Molly on every single platform. Also, if you want to discover the wilderness, you should go with Trailbound Project. Their expert-led hiking and backpacking education programs offer unparalleled outdoor experiences. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned adventurer, join us to learn essential skills, explore stunning trails, and connect with nature. Start your journey today with Trailbound Project and unlock the wonders of the great outdoors. All right, so we're not going to skip. We're going to redo this area. I want to get on to opening my drink. So anybody opposed to doing that? All right. So Jeff, did you open it yet?
I did not. It's been getting warm here on my desk for the past 40 minutes.
Let's do a little trick. You go to audio settings. Let me know when you're
audio,
there.
gotcha. Yep.
You go to microphone.
Got it.
Audio profile, go down, and then you select background noise suppression, go to low.
Okay, background. There we go. It's on me.
All right.
I'm going to put it on low. There we go. Faint background noises. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
and Jeff, just for the record, I have that same setting for my wife.
Background noise, low. Suppression, no.
Yeah.
Low.
All right, who's going to crack it first? Jeff. And me.
Sweet.
Nice. Everybody awesome. Now set it back onto auto.
There we go.
That was fantastic. All right. So Jeff, what do you have?
I run with mine on high.
So Stash, for the past month after you invited me on the show, I went to my local liquor store here in New Jersey, and lo and behold, in the cold beer counter, they were selling what's your preferred cider? Hudson North Cider. So yeah. I bought a pack and brought it to a Halloween party where everybody consumed it. So I made a trip over the weekend, and I have a Catskill Brewery. Looks like High Peaks IPA series. It's the Lone Mountain IPA.
Ooh, nice. I don't think I've heard of that one.
I didn't until Saturday.
Nice. Lone Mountain IPA from Catskill Brewing. I like that. All right. So excellent. Thanks, Jeff. What about you, Ted?
So I am, once again, having a Paradox Brewery IPA. It's a repeat on the show. I think if you remember, it's when Paradox hooked up with Woodstock Brewery, partnering up to sell products together. So I went out and bought a 4-pack of these things. It's just as delicious as the first can, coming in at 6.0 alcohol by volume. Comes in a nice green can with some graphics on it. Paradox IPA.
Nice.
That's it. Stosh, what are you sporting tonight?
Jeff talks about Hudson North, so I got some Hudson North caramel apple. Delicious. This is going to be down in probably like 5 minutes. So.
What's the alcohol content on that?
Oh God, why do you got to ask me? I can't see it. Hold on. It's probably like 5 or 6. I got to turn on the 5%.
Stosh has got he's using his iPhone or Android Lite just like he does when he's out hiking. Be so quick to pull that out. I think you actually have like a pocket in your baseball cap that you put that in when you're hiking. So it works as a headlamp. Very cool. And Jeff, how's your brewski?
It's delicious. It's a 6.8% alcohol. It's in a very attractive pink and purple can with a raccoon on it. And I'm definitely enjoying it. I had it on tap, I believe, over the weekend at the Catskill Brewery in Livingston Manor.
Cool. That's a hopping place.
Yeah, it was very busy. Orla was very happy. They have a great big yard out back, and there was plenty of squirrels to hold their attention.
Nice.
Sweet.
So the big question is, are you really outdoors? So you got to mention the podcast and one of your hikes, your social media, and we'll chat about it on the show, and that'll qualify that you're really outdoors this weekend or previous week. So tag us by typing at ITL Catskill MTM podcast on your post. So Red Hand Adventure Guides. Mike was out enjoying the Catskills somewhere. Doesn't give specifics, but yeah, he was enjoying the Catskills. So also Hiker Yogi Kelsey was out in the trail Wednesday. So just like me, going out in the middle of the week, knocking off that grid with the Millbrook Ridge Trail in winter conditions. Had some nice, maybe an inch or two of snow. Fantastic time. Pink Pony 818 Tracy was at Anthony's Nose down in the Gunks, correct? Am I right? Yes.
Anthony's Nose. Isn't that by Bear Mountain?
Yes.
Does that qualify as the Gunks?
No.
Hudson Valley.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry, Tracy. Also, off in the woods, Sean was out with Steven Scott, aka Catskill Mountain Brew, climbing Friday and Balsam Capped, and bumped into Beyond Blazes Joanne. So, Sean said that basically he loves the podcast because he gets to have instances like this of where he runs into someone, recognizes who it is, and be like, "You're Joanne, you're Sean." It's cool, and it made big smile on my face. I'll talk about our little conversation and stuff later. So amazing. Once again, the podcast is the community is awesome with this. So Vicky F49. Vicky was catching up with her friends Bonnie, doing some of the long path and catching up an amazing view of New York City. I got to get my ass down there to one of these spots and just to look at that freaking skyline of New York City. God damn, that blows me away.
Yeah, I drove through Harriman State Park today, and it's really beautiful terrain, very unlike the Catskills on the one hand. But the other thing is when you are out there hiking, you're most often not away from the sounds of automobiles, airplanes, motorcycles, and then you get the occasional view of the city. So it's different in a lot of respects. Yeah, but worth going to. Maybe we'll get one of our listeners to give us a tour someday hiking over there.
That view of New York City is, to me, like, to see that is just like catching Devil's Path. Like, it's just phenomenal to see that's far away, and just that her picture was. And whenever people do this, I'm just like, what you can actually see that. That's insane. I mean, I've done it once or twice when I've once on a search and rescue mission when I was down near the Ramapo area, and I caught it at night, which was pretty freaking crazy. But like during the day, I got to get myself down there. It's like a 2.5 hour drive, so it's tough. So get down there sometime. So Cam 5, Cammy did an early morning hike at what looks like to be Slide, Cornell, and Friday. So I don't know if she threw in any other of that in there, but it was pretty neat combination. So I could understand, because you can just do Friday, come back and go back up Slide and stuff. So cool combination.
Yeah, or you could whack them out of the Moonhaw.
Yeah, true. But her pictures were just.
Well, but once you hit Cornell, then you're on trail. Go up to the Dink, double back. Go over to Friday, back down to the Moonhaw. I've done that hike.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Jeff Jotz was somewhere. He'll talk about that later. He doesn't need to. Yeah. We don't need to talk about that guy. That guy's We'll talk about his stuff later. So Beyond Blazers, Joanne did the 6, ran into Sean and Scott on a beautiful day. So awesome. Once again, they all kind of like click together. It just brings a big smile to my face that this podcast is doing that. So Paul, 1976, Smith bushwhacked up the north side of Westkill. Awesome. I don't think Paul has ever tagged us like this in the show, but that is an interesting route up Westkill. I love it. And Tad, you just did that, right?
Yeah. Was he up there on Saturday? Was that when he?
Let me find out, because I was like, oh, this guy's new guy, and he bushwhacked up Westkill for his first tag of us. That's pretty awesome.
Well, that's tag worthy, right?
Exactly. Maybe that's
tag the show, do it a interesting bushwhack like that.
I mean, what the hell? It's what kind of you did. Maybe you would influence him, and that's a cool, once again, interesting area. Paul, hold on. He did this.
Yeah, I see a post he did of Hawkett, but I don't see.
Yeah, where the hell did it go?
2 days ago, I see bushwhacked up the north. Here I see it. 2 days ago, so that would have, I don't know where they measure the 2 days from, but that could have been north side of Westkill Mountain in a snow squall, finished up at Diamond Notch Falls.
So that must have been the same day I was doing Hunter.
Yeah.
So interesting. So Paul, thanks for tagging the show. Really appreciate it.
I see the route he took. I've been up that route a few times. It's a pretty cool route.
Why can't I see it?
It's the last picture of his post.
Oh, okay. All right. Crazy.
Yeah, I've gone up that way and then headed out over St. Anne, North Dome, and Sherrill. One time I even tagged on Hawkett.
Oh, I see where he came out. Oh, yeah. Interesting. That's so he came out basically from the Westkill Brewing area.
Yeah.
That's a nice ridge. It's a very nice ridge. Bunch of ledges, but nothing that's not climbable.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that route is ledgy at all, in my opinion.
There's like 2.
Yeah, it's actually got a really, really interesting kind of like almost like a rock cove there. I'm not going to call it a gorge, but it's just a little divot with some really, really neat rock outcroppings or structures. I've done that, like I said, several times. I do it several more times.
Yeah, definitely a good spot. So
it starts off, it's a little dense at the beginning with new growth, and then it opens up.
Mm-hmm. It almost feels like a conservation, like a kind of plant going over there and stuff.
Yeah, there is a segment that is very much like that. It's a very cool route.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for tagging us on. Also, Red Head Adventure Guides, Mike was at Ricketts Glen in PA, exploring waterfalls and excited to do his skiing year. So skiing has basically started in a lot of places. And then last but not least, Scion 72, Sean was at the Harriman State Park, exploring around 10 miles, 2,000 something feet of gain. So good for you, Sean, for getting out.
Was that from today?
Yeah.
Because I see he posted that he was over there today, not wanting to give up hiking in shorts.
Yeah. He should have just came with me on my hike. So
yeah.
Whatever. So buy us a hard cider to support the show. Once again, if you think we're doing a good job and you want to show us some support, buy us a coffee, hard cider on buymeacoffee.com. Rate the show. 5 stars is what we only accept. Rip it up. Thank you. We already talked about drinking stuff. So previous hikes, who wants to go first?
Well, before anybody goes for previous hikes, I just want to know if Jeff needs to take a break to grab another brewski, because from the last sip he took, it looks like that can's getting pretty light.
I am so tempted. I have to. Oh, I'm off from work tomorrow. I'm so tempted to go to the fridge and get another one.
Yeah. So
we take a break after our previous hikes, Ben, before we get to you. So
we call it the thunder break.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Hold on. I think.
Hold it steady till after our mountain weather forecast.
Okay, previous hikes. Who wants to go? Let's say Jeff. You want to go first? Because
sure.
Jeff is in the house tonight. Let's hear it.
So Saturday, I arrived at the Biscuit Brook Trailhead a few minutes after 7 a.m. and we were the second party to sign the trail register, and we went up Fur and Big Indian that day, and it was a lovely walk. There was a little dusting of snow on the ground until we got to about 2,500 feet, and there's about an inch of snow on the ground, and we hit about 3,500 feet, and there was about 3 to 4 inches of snow on the ground, and it was great to see. The Pine Hill West Branch Trail had quite a few blowdowns on it. We managed it, and then the herd paths to Fur and Big Indian were easy to follow, no blowdowns, a few beach whips here and there, but it was very enjoyable.
I see somebody's bringing Jeff a refill.
Salute. We give it a salute.
Is that what you wanted?
Yes, that's my assistant there. Yes.
Wow. He's so professional, man.
It's her first podcast.
Yeah, I don't have an assistant. How do you get an assistant?
All right, back to your hiking. Forget
So we there was about 3 to 4 inches of snow. It was our first snow hike of the year. It must have been a recent snow because it was sticking to all of the balsam trees and all of the deciduous trees, and we could smell the pine needles, and it was just a delightful hike. I wanted to start seeing Christmas carols on top of the mountain. No one was around. We were the second ones to sign into the canister of the day at Fur and Big Indian. And we just had a nice, relaxing walk back after that. Nobody was using the Thunderbox at Biscuit Brook. There were people camping there, though, in tents. And, afterwards, we stopped, as I said, at Catskill Brewing in Livingston Manor. And where else do you think we stopped, Ted? The most important stop before you hit the thruway.
Stewart's.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't think I've been that far down.
I'm putting in my head the route that you took, and wow, that's
it was a 10-mile lollipop.
Oh yeah,
up to Biscuit Brook, then up to Fur, over to Big Indian, and then back on the Pine Hill West Branch Trail.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of the brewery. That was kind of a haul to get over to the brewery. I mean, the hike is nothing. It's that drive over to the Westkill Brewery from where you.
We went to the Catskill Brewery.
Catskill.
I got you.
Yeah. And in fact,
that's still a haul.
That's a haul, but it's on the way home, so that's what's important.
Oh, that's nice. Nice. So 3 to 4 inches. Wow, that's crazy. That's a lot. It's crazy how different parts of the Catskills receive different amounts of snow. Good amounts, different amounts, stuff like that. So, excellent.
Any traction gear?
Yeah. What did you?
I did not need spikes at all. In fact, until probably the summit of Fur, the trail and herd path was still leaves at that point. After that, it was just a little bit of snow and very easy to follow. No issues at all. A nice, uneventful hike. I call those hikes a walk in the woods, and it was very pleasant.
Correct. Cool. Correct. Ted, how about you? We didn't expect you to have you on the show. So hear about your good hike.
All right. So I went out on Saturday, which was the opening day of big game season with guns in New York State. And I had thought about doing Rusk and Westkill as a big loop hike involving a fair amount of bushwhacking and some water crossings. But as I was driving out Spruceton Road, and my impression was there was quite a few pickup trucks, which I associated with hunters being out in the woods. And I also was checking out the water level on the Westkill, which would be one of my water crossings for the day, at least down low. So I opted just to do an up and down Rusk and then head over and hike Westkill. And so I did my up and down Rusk. On my way up, I bumped into a couple hunters just they were coming onto the Spruceton horse trail. And then at the big turn to the right, I turned to the left and took the traditional route up Rusk Mountain. There was one pair of boot tracks ahead of me, so I basically followed those all the way up. As I got to the summit, the person who was ahead of me had just finished signing into the canister. It was a younger fellow named Mike. He's a surveyor. Listened to the episode with Brooks, Rick Brooks?
Yeah.
It was on the surveyor, said he enjoyed it. We chatted a little bit, and then he set off. I explored around the summit looking for some viewpoints because there's some up there. And then I made my way down, but I wasn't on the main social path on my way down, but I did eventually get over to it. And shortly after getting over to it, there was this log that crossed the path. Had fallen across. It'd been there for quite some time. But on my way up, I had crossed over it. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. But on my way down, there were some fresh bear tracks going across the length of that fallen tree. And I thought that was pretty cool that this bear had come out of what was like just a little brook or stream, the ravine it had cut, got up on the more level or plain on that log, went across the trail, and then hopped off the log. Got back down to the Spruceton Road, hiked up the road, took the trail up Westkill. As I was going up the road out towards the waterfall, I ran into a few more hunters. So there was like 4 hunters total for the day. I also did hear some gunshots in the woods during the day. But being undeterred by all that, I made my way up to the summit of Westkill. And I remember the last time I hiked up there in the winter, I bumped into Mike Schutte, who was out there a couple years ago. But I do not remember hiking up the trail to Westkill in quite a long time. But it's pleasant. The couple rock ledges at about 2,800 feet on the trail were ice covered. And some of the hikers I spoke to on the way down related to me that it was sketchy. 2 of the 4 people I ran into had used traction. The other 2 were trail runners who had gone down it. So nonetheless, I made it to the summit. I was intending to take the trail down because, like I had said before, crossing the Westkill looked like it might be difficult because the water was relatively high, but I could not resist the urge to just bushwhack down. So I went down what I'm going to call the second ridge that takes you more or less directly to the parking area at the end of Spruceton Road. And I didn't walk down the high point of that ridge. I kind of cut diagonally across it because there are some rock ledges on it, but not a lot of rock ledges. But I figured with the fresh snow and all the leaves on the ground, it'd be a good day to go, ledge hunting down that ridge, which is what I did. It was fantastic. The snow continued pretty far down and then it faded away. I heard some gunshots as I was going down there. I didn't see any deer the whole day. I heard hunters. I saw hunters, right?
Never.
I saw pickup trucks. I didn't see any deer anywhere. But I did, when I got to the Westkill, I've searched around a little bit. I found a nice little rock bridge to get across without getting my boots wet, hopped in the Jeep, and I kid you not, within like 2 miles of getting in my Jeep and driving down the Spruceton Road, you know what I saw?
Deer.
I saw deer in everybody's yard along the side of the road. I saw like 3 or 4 deer going down Spruceton Road. And then I saw them again when I was going down 28A behind the Ashokan. Nothing but deer after deer after deer hanging out in people's front yards, their side yards, along the road, drinking Hudson North cider.
They adapted.
Having a good time, while the hunters were out with all that expensive gear, thinking that they were going to find the deer in the woods. And all you need to do when you want to go hunting during deer season, just come to my backyard.
Yeah, but that's like not 500 feet from the local road, is it?
I'm not telling anyone. Yeah, you can come in my backyard. You can be 500 feet away from the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, these hunters know the regulations, stuff like that. So excellent. Did you end up near the Boy Scout camp?
On
Westkill when you were bushwhacking down?
No, I'm not going to say I was. Not that I don't think I know what you're referring to on the way down. I did run into a lot of like rock piles that we see out there.
Stosh knows a spot that Tad doesn't? Yeah. Outrageous.
So is that further to the east of the parking area?
It was further west. It's seriously
so,
like right near it.
Okay. Yeah. Which side of the river is it on?
It's
on
the
Westkill mountainside?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to do a pretty good stream crossing to get across it with no... Yeah.
Well, I had to cross the stream to get back to my Jeep.
So I will.
But I went upstream to do the crossing.
It's a phenomenal spot. Plus, you can follow it an old woods road that leads to probably around 3,000 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that. So
I'll have to check it out. I'll put it on my list. Maybe Jeff Jotz and I'll hit it up someday.
Hell yeah!
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah. So what about you, Stosh? Have you been out doing any hiking in winter-like conditions on maybe Hunter Mountain in that vicinity?
I can say, fuck yeah, I have. So I have had.
All right. So now moving on to the next segment, Stosh's hike report. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off, man?
You did.
Damn.
Do not cut me off during these times because
Jeff, do you believe this?
I am in my glory days once again. So Sunday, I had the day off and I knew it was going to be high winds. So I had to get out. I was just like, no doubt I will get out. I need these. I love high winds and stuff like that. So I went to a hockey game and all of a sudden, off in the woods, Sean's contacted me and said, hey, are you going to be out Sunday? I'm like, hell yeah. I look to be doing Hunter Mountain because it's going to have the highest wind on there. So I want to be up there in the wind. So we coordinate. We get to the trailhead at, I think it was, what was it? 8:30? 9:30. I was just like, I got to sleep in. I got to take this time because I came back from the hockey game at like 11:30. So we start off where, once again, be bold, start cold is the way to do it. And that's what we did. I just had my Shell moisture wicking long sleeve shirt, t-shirt on. And it was around 36 degrees at the trailhead. Start moving up. I see in the distance, I'm just like, oh, cool. There's some precipitation coming in. I wonder what it is. It's sleet. We start getting sleeted on. We meet true trail runners that are going up, that are following us, that have basically two things of water. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, you guys are psychos. But they went up and down and crazy. It was just crazy. And then we get to the turn with the horse. I would say the horse kind of like wrap where it is, where you take a big right to go up to the Spruceton Trail. And once you go a right to start going up Hunter Mountain proper, where you start gaining some good elevation. And it started kind of like light dust snowing. And there was some good winds. We didn't really get that much wind down in the call area, down into the first side. But once you start going up Hunter, there was a little bit of wind and then a little bit of snow. And nothing like nothing was frozen over. The path was just nice and smooth. Got up to there. I asked Sean, I'm like, hey, you want to go over to the lean-to, see the viewpoint of John Robb? He's like, I'd never been there. I'm like, what? I'm like, this freaking lean-to has like the best lean-to view in the freaking world. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It's also the walk-in from the trail to that lean-to.
It's like point
very cool.
Yeah. Going through that scissor, like the split rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it was just, he's like, oh, this is really cool. I'm like, yeah, it's freaking awesome. So we got the view, got back up. I'm like, hey, there's the shitter if you want to go use it. Once again, the spring once again was flowing like crazy up there. It always is, usually is. Start climbing back up Hunter. Once again, they just brought supplies up to the cabin, and I'm just a little disappointed that they didn't do these like spots going up Hunter, because these are massive water spots that are 2 to 3 feet deep that they could have fixed and put some, boards in the middle and kind of made like floating boards or stuff like that. But no, they didn't. So now, once again, you have these 2 tracks of tires and then these tracks going on the outside 4 feet of hikers, because we can't get through those. I don't want to dip my feet into freezing cold water in the beginning, the near end of my hike, not the near end, but the near end of elevation gain, and get my feet wet. So once again, I'm just like, are you like kidding me? Like they could have brought, 2x4s, attached them together and doing like a parallel thing right in the middle to kind of give us like a plank walk in the middle. But nope, there's just now once again you have these wide trails going around.
But you say that, and that's surprising, because on the other way up, they have done that work on the trail.
On Hunter?
Yeah.
like where? Because there's
What is it, by Geiger Point?
No, that's still shit.
Is it really? I thought the last time I went through, I could have sworn that they had dragged some rocks into the center.
Nope. Actually, that was another report that I
Shame
had.
on them. Shame on them. Okay,
Right,
continue.
Like seriously. So we get up towards the top. It says on the thing we got up at the top 28 degrees. So I start going up the fire tower. I'm excited because the winds are howling. And I get up there. Sean takes a step on there. And he's like, "This is slippery. I can't do this." I'm like, "Well, it's fine. I'm fucking going up."
So you left the novice hiker behind. Is that what we're hearing, Jeff?
Sights.
You left the novice guy behind.
Sean is not a novice hiker.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Novice,
all
not
right.
novice. No.
Right.
This guy, he knows. He's sitting down there. He knows. He can see me. I can see him. I get above tree line. The winds are whipping. Doesn't stop. I would say 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. Once again, I still only have the hard shell on and the long sleeve shirt and the t-shirt. And I'm just, this Helly Hansen freaking shell jacket is phenomenal. I will put it in the show notes. It's expensive, but this shit was blocking the wind. And I felt like I was up there for at least, once again, you're 28 degrees. The wind chill factor that Americans figure this, it's just, or anybody figures this, is absolutely insane. You got to times it by like 3.3, divide it by like this and do this. So I figured out the wind chill factor. 40, 50 mile an hour winds makes it below 10 degrees. I was up there for at least 8 minutes, being fine, taking pictures, taking it all in. And I got a little views, but then the snow started coming in. I could see the snow coming in from the west we were coming in, which was really weird because I was like, oh, it usually bounces off Hunter Mountain and stuff. It'll flow into the east, but it was coming from the west. So we got down, we started on our descent towards Southwest Hunter, and it starts having massive snowflakes. We start having massive snowflakes. Really cool, really fun. We run into 16 hikers, a group of 16 hikers.
Wow.
And it was pretty crazy.
Now, where are you again when you run into them?
Below Geiger Point, stuff like that. Once again, I'll say Geiger Point leading from Hunter, going over to Geiger Point and down, just an absolute shit show. It's just mud, ice, stuff like that. You do not want to take that chance of thinking that there's a rock there and then sink down into 2 feet. Like, no way. I'm not going to do that stuff. I do not want to jeopardize my freaking hiking experience, number one, and then also for the freaking rescuers to come up and get me if my freaking leg goes frozen solid and I can't move. So it's just crazy that
they just drive up there.
Yeah, and that's the
all
thing.
vehicle. Yeah, they could bring loads of stone up there if they wanted to.
Stone or just 2x4s to put over there and make planks like they did on Sugarloaf. On fucking Sugarloaf, they did that.
Stone doesn't rot like wood does.
True. It was crazy. I was just so pissed. But once again, we have great weather. It's 20 mile per hour winds constant on that side. And then when you get down to the lean-to, the Devil's Acre lean-to, the wind was kind of shutting down, and we were like, oh, cool. So it's still snowing. We start making our way to Southwest Hunter. The winds pick up a little bit more, and then it starts snowing a little bit more. And it's getting to that point. No, the accumulation is very little. A trace to maybe an inch, like here and there. Beautiful ascent, sign into Southwest Hunter. We start coming down, and all of a sudden we see this dog in the distance and this guy in freaking shorts. And I'm like, the hell is this? I'm just like, are you kidding me? And all of a sudden it's Catskill Mountain Brew, Scott Q, and his dog. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here. I'm not drunk, but Scott and I did, because of freaking Jeff's on the show, is Orla. Zorro. Sorry. I'm really sorry, Scott. Zorro just are freaking there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, this is so cool. Everybody's having smiles. We take a selfie. Once again, Zorro is an awesome dog. Scott was just like, oh yeah, I just summited Westkill and I'm on my way over here. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, holy crap. And he's just like, yeah, Zorro's pulling me like crazy. So we're at like 3.2 miles per hour. And he's like, I can't stop this dog from pulling me. I'm like, you're a beast. All right. So we meet, he goes on his way, we go on our way, we start our descent. All of a sudden, winds pick up to like 30, 40 miles per hour constant. And just the snow is coming in. We hit a huge squall. And it was like paradise. Like I was just like, I seriously turned around to Sean and like, I'm like, I could die here and be in peace. Like it's just that good. And we were talking a lot about gear, stuff like that to keep, once again, yourself comfortable, because winter is definitely one of those times when you have to know kind of like yourself and what you want to use to hike, when to delayer, when to layer up, when to, change your shirts and stuff like that if you have to, because, you might be sweaty going up. Then you get to the top, you're starting to somewhat dry, or you don't dry, and then you start to freeze. And then on the descent, you're just so uncomfortable that you have to finish the hike. You're starting to rush yourself, and then you start making mistakes, and then you roll your ankle and you're injured on the trail. So,
and then you do die out there.
Exactly.
And you're happy. You die happy.
Exactly.
On the trail in epic conditions.
Exactly. So like
Jeff is like, what the fuck? What are these guys this is crazy.
Ted, you don't die because the Rangers, the Catskills really will reach you quite quickly.
True. Exactly. So it was just one of those experiences that I had nothing but a freaking massive smile on my face, being out there with Sean, talking the whole time and just having a good time. And once we hit like sort of the lower spot of Devil's Path, freaking skies cleared up and we have blue skies and sun. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Everything's blanketed in the snow, looking like we got hit by a snowstorm. And it's beautiful. And get back to the trailhead. We, register out, and just a great time. We both go back. I wanted to stop at the West Kill, but I was just like, I have nobody to stop with. So it's just, and later on, Scott said that he stopped in there with Zorro. So I was kind of disappointed.
So you arrived at the parking area around 9:30?
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah. And how full or empty were they?
It was probably halfway full.
Oh yeah. Because when I got out there on Saturday, at the end of Spruceton Road, there was already one car parked there, which is where I parked. At the parking area where the horse trail starts, there was maybe 6 cars there. But when I came back, they were both full. I mean, you could find a place. People were double parking. They were full, maybe not as full as you would see on a nice fall day, but they were full. I did not, when I was driving out, see a lot of cars at Westkill, like I have seen on some days where they're all the way down to the road, but their parking lot was relatively full. But what I did see a lot of, which I'm going to say again, was deer along the road that the hunters apparently didn't see. So, and you also talk about gear and how important gear is with winter hiking. One of the things I was reminded of this weekend as I was also hiking in wintry, snowy conditions is you need to be careful about your pace, because if you do hike too hard and generate a lot of body heat and sweat and start perspiring under your layers, then when you summit and you start to come downhill, you've got that moisture, which is just going to make you colder now, because when you're going downhill, you're not generating the heat, but you've got the moisture in there.
I said that, didn't I?
Did you talk about pace? Well,
I didn't say pace, but I said sweat. When you get up to the top, you start getting colder, you start descending, you don't generate that kind of heat, and you start still staying cold, and it takes some time to regenerate your heat. And that's Jeff and I had a lot of long talks about gear and stuff like that. What sucks is you have to put money into good gear to have a good time. And you can't go to Walmart and buy a windbreaker that's going to break this 30-degree temperature with 30-mile-per-hour winds that's going to bring you down. You can't do that. You have to at least spend your money to I'm not saying survive, but have a good time, to have a really good time. So it sucks. The hiking is great, but it's, you have to spend some money to get some decent gear.
Stash, on Saturday, I did pack a sandwich for my hike up Fern Big Indian, and I plan to eat it at one of the summits. But it was probably in the 20s at the summits. It was 22 degrees when I left at Biscuit Brook at 7 a.m. So it was probably around that or colder at the summits. I wasn't stopping to eat my sandwich. I ate it in the car as soon as I got to the parking lot.
That's what sucks. Once again, you don't want to get your hands cold because the energy you have to get your hands back warm. You got to tuck them into your gloves. Like I do that all the time. Once again, you're drinking less water because you don't have the time. You don't want to pull out that water or something like that. You know, your bladder line it's frozen or stuff like that. You have to figure out by yourself, multiple times of how you work in the winter. Every person's different. I know once I hiked with Tad, and I was just like, he never ate anything. Like I was just like, you don't have anything to eat. You don't have anything to drink. Barely. He's like, yeah, I got 2 water bottles, and I'm like, you fucking crazy? But he was ahead of me by like 20, 30 feet every time. And I'm just like, this guy's freaking pushing it. He's a whole different human being. And everybody's different with their layers, with their, once again, their energy. You got to eat, you can drink, stuff like that. You got to find winter is tough. It's way different than summer.
I think the message is when it comes to winter hiking, just do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. And get to know yourself and how you respond in the conditions. And then the better you get to know yourself and the better how you respond to the conditions, hike even more.
Yeah.
Just try to hike every day in the winter. That's what you should strive for because I think it's the best season of the year for hiking.
Yeah.
At least around here and further north, which I fantasize about going up to the Adirondacks or the Whites in the winter.
Yeah.
But I would never say that on this show.
Yeah.
By the way, I only hike in the Catskills. That's all I think about for the sake of this show.
Yeah.
Inside the line. I don't hike outside of the line, Stosh. I know that's what my agreement says.
Yeah. I also did a hike today up Panther. So
did you? Oh.
I did.
Did you go up over Giant Ledge?
Yep. Fantastic. Yeah. Beautiful. I used spikes from the descent of Giant Ledge up to Panther and then back down to all the way down to Giant Ledge because it just felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Beautiful views. Awesome weather. I have to say, there's nothing crazy about the hike that I can talk about. But that call in between Giant Ledge and Panther, it's got the most craziest weather I have ever experienced.
So was there a lot of drifting through there?
Drifting, fucking winds that were howling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I couldn't wait for it. I'm just like on the descent. I'm like, God, I can't wait for this. No wind whatsoever up on Giant Ledge. No sounds whatsoever. But once you start that descent, you can hear the winds coming in. And it was cool as fuck. And I love that area.
Yeah. I've run into some deep snow in that call between Giant Ledge and Panther. Usually coming down Giant Ledge, going towards Panther, that descent off of Giant Ledge is generally icy. It can be sketchy because it doesn't get sun in the winter, but it does get the snow that blows in there and then just seems to stall and settle in. So I've done that whole hike in the winter where that's the only section that you're going to use any type of traction and maybe going up and or down Panther. But yeah, that's a great winter hike.
Oh,
those two.
Dude.
Did you see anybody out today?
I saw a total of 7 people.
Today? Wow, that's still impressive.
All on Giant Ledge. 2 were coming down, and they were cool people. Mm-hmm. 3 going up that were totally inexperienced, and I kind of educated them on spikes and stuff like that, but they didn't seem like they were up here for that long.
Were they going past Giant Ledge?
No. And then 2 on my way down that said that they were going to go up Panther, but they didn't have traction and they bailed. And I totally congratulated them and said, good job. You did the right thing because I used spikes going up. And we chatted a little bit about spikes and stuff like that. And on the way down, I was like, what kind of car do you drive? And she's like, well, I'm the only one that is in the parking lot besides the Tesla. And I'm like, I'll leave my business card and stickers on your car. And she's like, fantastic. So hopefully we got new listeners.
Yeah, that would be cool. The only time I've given away spikes on a hike was a couple that were between Giant Ledge and Panther that wanted to summit panther before the end of the day. It was like 3:00, and I'm like, man, you folks, you're pushing it for time, and you have no traction. It's really not good.
Yeah.
So, but apparently they made it. So kudos.
Yeah, beautiful day. Got pretty cold going up the Panther. Got really cold, actually. It was like 31 degrees when I got at the trailhead. And I would say with the wind and stuff, it was down in the teens when I got up the Panther. Had a couple bites to eat and then ran back down. So good, beautiful day. Fantastic day. So once again, like 17 miles in a matter of a couple days. I enjoyed it. So
good for you, buddy.
And then I have off Thursday. So am I going to go hiking Thursday? I might. So Jesus, cool. It's incredible. So,
ping me Wednesday night. Maybe I'll take off Thursday.
Hell yeah! All right.
I got a lot of work done the last 2 days. Maybe I can take a day off this week.
Sweet. Can you go trail? Are you going to do trail?
Yeah, it all depends.
Yeah, fuck off then. All right. Oh, Jesus. All right. So volunteer. Any organization can volunteer. New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, 3500 Club, Catskill Trail Crew, Catskill Mountains Clubs, Visitor Center, Jolly Rovers Trail Crew. Also, if you need stickers, send me a message. I will send them to you for free via mail. Please. I have plenty. Weather forecast for this weekend, we are going to go with Balsam Mountain. It looks to be a little bit weird. So Friday, we're going to be in the high of 45 degrees and a low of 32 with a 0.01 of inches of snow at the end of the night. So a little sketchy. Then going into Saturday, once again, high of 45s with a low of 18 degrees at the end of the night. Spikes will be needed. Sunday, high of 36 and a low of 21 with winds not factored in, but be clear once again on Friday or Saturday and Sunday. And then Friday is going to be clear in the PM, a little bit cloudy afterwards. So, yeah. So, once again, bring your spikes, pack your spikes, and get out there, have some fun. So, let's get on the last set of sponsors, and we'll get on to Jeff. So, discover Camp Catskill in Tannersville, your ultimate hiking store. Find top-quality gear, apparel, and accessories for all your outdoor adventures. Our expert staff is here to help every hiker. If you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, we can help you. We also carry a variety of unique Catskill souvenirs and gifts. Visit us online at campcatskill.co or in the store to gear up for your next journey. Adventure starts at Camp Catskill. Also, embark on a transformative journey with Another Summit. Another Summit is dedicated to serving veterans and first responders with free outdoor activities. Activities like walks in nature, paddling, hiking, and even backpacking. Join our supportive community to rejuvenate in nature's embrace. Experience camaraderie, adventure, and healing at no cost. Take your next step with Another Summit and ascend to new heights of resilience and joy. Apply today on anothersummit.org. All right, so let's get on to the guest of the night. Let's go. So Jeff Jotz is joining us tonight, Listener Spotlight. He is a supporter of the show. I don't know why. We'll ask him a question about that later. So great to have you on, Jeff. Glad once again you participated well in the shooting the shit. So I mean, hopefully you know the show, so you knew what to do. So
I've listened to every episode.
Oh, good. Oh God, there we go. There we go.
You want to see what your sponsorship money is getting?
Yeah.
Stash's microphone.
That's true. I mean that bought me. I did that. My first purchase was that. All right, I did that myself. All right, don't accuse me of spending your money on that crap. I spend it on tires for my car. What? Oh no, just kidding.
I thought you spent it on that Helly Hansen jacket. That's what I seem to remember from the first segment of the episode.
No, that was search and rescue stuff. So Jeff is the spotlight. Let's get away from that. So Jeff, how about a little background about yourself? Go all in.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I'm basically a lifelong resident of New Jersey. I've lived in probably northern New Jersey my entire life, maybe only a few miles from where I was born. It's just, a big suburban area. If your listeners have watched The Sopranos, the opening segment of The Sopranos is basically where I've lived my whole life. It's very densely populated. There's not much to do out in the outdoor sector of activity. And I had lovely parents, but for them outdoors was the golf course, so they never really encouraged any of that activity, but they didn't discourage it either. And I remember as a 12-year-old kid spending a week at summer camp in the Pennsylvania Poconos, and we backpacked for a week on the Appalachian Trail from somewhere in New Jersey to Unionville, New York. And most of the hike, the kids on our hike were miserable, but I was absolutely in my glory. I thought this was the greatest thing in the world. I realized later that the belt for my backpack, the waist belt, was broken, and I didn't realize the purpose of a waist belt at the time, and I was in a lot of pain from carrying supplies for the group all week. But I didn't care at that point. I saw my first rattlesnake. I went through a couple New Jersey high peaks. It was a really cool experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. And it's one thing I remembered, the rest of my life. Also, when I was about 10 years old, Stosh, you're going to like this. I spent some time at the Raleigh in the Catskills, one of the old Borscht Belt resorts. And I
Wow.
called my mom and brother today to kind of piece together, what happened, because I don't have much memory of the time, but I believe my church actually spent the weekend there in the winter, and I remember there was a big snowstorm. And being a 10-year-old kid, my brother and I cared about two things: the indoor pool and the video arcade. And we spent most of our weekend playing video games. And we went tobogganing, we went ice skating, we were socked in with snow. I just remember the hotel by that period was kind of past its prime, and it smelled very musty. And my mother corroborated that when I gave her a call about it. And she went to a comedy show and left the kids. I guess we stayed in the arcade. And she goes, the comedy was so bad. I wanted to walk out, but I didn't want to embarrass everybody. So I stayed and tolerated it. And she said the same thing as me. The place was past its prime, but this was the early '80s, and for me it was exciting. I had my first bowl of matzo ball soup, and I felt so cosmopolitan
Hmm.
to have that. And I remember knowing a little bit about the Borscht Belt at that period of my life because New York City television would run advertisements for some of the Catskill resorts. But it was a great time, and it was probably my first introduction to the Catskills before my backpacking trip on the Appalachian Trail. Um, and in that period, I didn't really start hiking again until about 2008 when I got a dog, not Orla, my previous dog, Molly. And my son was about 5 years old, and he asked me to take him hiking. And I'm kind of glad that he did because um, when he was about that age, him and his cousins asked to go play mini golf, and I took them all mini golfing. And when you're like kindergarten, first, second grade, you're kind of impatient. So it took them 10 minutes to go through the entire mini golf course, and it cost me $80 for 10 minutes of activity. I said, all right, I got to do something that's more cost effective. So I started taking my son hiking with me, and 5 hours in the mountains of New Jersey, the cost was gas money going from my house to the trailhead. So that was a great use of time. And not only wore out the dog, it wore out my son. And he really appreciated the outdoors. He became a trail maintainer for our county parks department while he was in high school and college. And he actually wrote his college admissions essay based on our discussions on our hike.
Hmm.
So,
Nice.
that's what kind of, was very insightful for the kid. And he still talks about his hikes fondly with me. So we started hiking in 2008, and I probably covered every trail in New Jersey and the Hudson Valley. I don't know if New Jersey has an all trails patch. I'm interested in applying for it at this point because it's a densely populated state, but believe it or not, there's a lot of preserved land. And most of our peaks, well, all of our peaks are much lower than the Catskill high peaks. The highest peak in New Jersey is 1,800 feet. The second, I believe, is 1,500 or so. So you're not going to have, the balsam forest like you have in the Catskills. But what you will have, especially in the area called the New Jersey Highlands, is you'll have a lot of more exposed ridges. And you could sit there on a clear day and in one direction is the New York City skyline. I turn around and I'll see the gunks of the Catskills if the weather is right. So it's pretty cool, you know. I mean, you know, within an hour of my house, I can see these amazing views and still get a cell phone signal as well, which is pretty cool. You know, I mean, it's remote, but it's not that remote. And I just started hiking a lot of Jersey trails and Hudson Valley trails and realizing how close these things are and how many parcels of property are protected in New Jersey. Now they're protected, they're open to the public. You know, that doesn't mean that the state of New Jersey is a good caretaker of those properties because they're really not. And the volunteers at the New York New Jersey Trail Conference do an incredible job blazing the trails, clearing the trails, you know, just addressing the heavy usage that they set. So in 2020 rolls around, and like a lot of people, I started looking elsewhere to hike. I've hiked everywhere I could in New Jersey, hiked everywhere I thought I could in the Hudson Valley. So one April day in 2020, the dog Orla and I walked up Balsam Mountain. I don't know why I chose Balsam Mountain. I have no idea. I can't remember why, and we just liked it so much. We started coming back time and time again. And last December 20th, now think of that date, December 20th, the dog and I on a weekday drove up to Slide Mountain and walked up Slide Mountain in the snow. And I had my Santa hat on and was listening to Christmas music. And it was just a completely appropriate hike for, you know, 5 days before Christmas. And I came home and I learned about the Catskill 3500. And I looked at the list and I said, oh, I already climbed 17 of these peaks without even realizing it. So I decided to go for the 3,500. And I only need three winter peaks, Balsam, Panther, and Slide. And I'm waiting for December 21st.
Nice.
Yeah. I realized when I got home that I hiked Slide on the last day of fall, even though the conditions were as wintry as you're going to get. You know, probably have 3-4 inches of snow on the ground. You know, I needed spikes, not snowshoes. And that's really how I ended up where I was, you know. As soon as the 3,500 are done, I'm going to probably spend more time exploring the Western Catskills because I enjoy the solitude.
Yeah.
More the views. You know, I spent an overnight on the Hardenberg Trail, I guess it was, along the Willowee and I didn't see a single person. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it was so great. It just camped along a stream with the dog, and you fall asleep to the sound of the Willowee and you hike back the next day, and you go home. And I, didn't see anybody.
Yeah,
you know, that's what's great about it.
Yeah,
the Western Cats. You know, I want to spend more time there after the 3,500 are finished.
You will.
Yeah, my last hike over there was on the Hardenberg Trail, the Willowee 19.6 miles, all day affair. Did not see a single hiker the entire day.
That's secluded as bleep. So
yeah, it's fantastic. You know, and I mentioned earlier, Stash, I told you that, you know, there are what I call weekday hikes. You know, Slide is a weekday hike. You know, Overlook will be a weekday hike. You know, Panther Giant Ledge will be a weekday hike. You know, and even New Jersey has hikes I consider, you know, weekday hikes, where if you want to get out and maybe enjoy a smaller crowd, you know, you take that valuable day off and go up a mountain.
Correct. So, two big questions. Mm-hmm. How did you find out about the podcast? I'm always curious about this.
I can't remember, to be honest. I can't remember. I have absolutely no idea. Maybe one of your frequent listeners tapped me into it, but I cannot remember for the life of me how I found out about it. I do have a story. So I guess it was summer of 2024 in June. My son and I camped at Alder Lake on one weekend, you know, and I took him up Ashokan High Point, and I said, well, let's go. This is a good hike to go. And what I learned about the Catskills is that, man, the Catskills gets a lot of precipitation compared to other areas. We started going up the trail along it's a Canopy Brook. Is that how it's pronounced?
Mm-hmm. Everybody says it different. Canopy, Canape.
And
cannot be.
we ran into a thunderstorm, was the mother of all thunderstorms, and it poured and thundered, and we were absolutely soaked. As we got to, as you ascend that trail, it goes into a lollipop, and there was a group of hikers who were huddled under a tarp at that point. And my son and I looked at each other like, well, we're going back. We're not going to the summit in this weather. And when we got a cell phone signal, we looked at a radar picture of the entire Northeast. So from Maine to Virginia, west to Ohio, there was not a drop of rain except over that trail.
Hmm.
And as that storm moved over the mountain and then crossed the Hudson, it became a tornado warned storm as it crossed east of the Hudson. So the entire Northeast was bone dry except for that one little, spot in the Catskills. My son and I brought a change of clothes, bagged it, and went to Westkill Brewery and drank a lot of beer after that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, I've run into a lot of rain in the Catskills, a lot of precipitation in the Catskills, and more so than any other place I've hiked. And I don't know, maybe it's the topography, but it seems to bring precipitation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It does.
So the biggest question of all,
Mm-hmm.
why do you support this show? This pathetic show?
Oh, I forgot. Well, this is my point. So when we returned to the campsite after going to the Westkill, I did bring my Bluetooth speaker. Don't judge me. We were by ourselves. We were not within earshot of other campers. And I put on the podcast, and my son goes, "Oh God, Dad, not a podcast." And I said, "Yes." So we listened to the podcast, talked over a couple more beers at the campfire, and fell asleep. But I can't remember, and I did learn a lot just about the Catskills, and I appreciate your interest in Catskills history. I enjoyed the Borscht Belt episodes immensely, and coming on the show, I just feel. You've had so many amazing guests. You've had filmmakers, you've had authors, you've had skiers, you've had conservationists. I'm just a guy who walks the dog up the mountains when he has some free time and just enjoys the woods and enjoys what I call the five senses of hiking. You use all five senses when you're in the woods. If you could think about it, you use your sight, you use your touch. That could be touching a nettle. It could be touching a mossy rock. It could be touching the ice cold water of the beaver kill, even though it's the middle of the summer and that water will just completely numb you in seconds. It could be, hearing, in the springtime, all the birds that are just, calling like crazy. Or if you hike this time of year, complete silence, no airplanes, no leaf blowers, no road traffic, which is almost unheard of in New Jersey. And also the smells, that balsam smell is absolutely amazing. Or smelling the Catskill, the forest after a rain.
Oh yeah.
It's that's something a lot of people may not never experience, living in an urban area.
Yeah.
So
I call it therapeutic.
Oh, it completely is. It completely is. I've not hiking in the Catskills, but I've gone on hikes. I've had to fire employees, and I did it while on a hike, because to clear my head. So it's a place to go, to think about things or to not think about things. Sometimes you just want to go and just walk around the woods and leave all your troubles behind. And for me, that's the role that it plays.
Correct.
So that's somewhat of a, I'm going to say, modest background introduction by Jeff. And my question for Jeff is, for somebody who just describes it as a walk in the woods and a place where he goes for therapy and to veg out. I notice I've hiked with you one time, and I read your posts, and you seem to have this encyclopedic knowledge of all things outdoors. And I don't think I'm wrong with that. So where does that come from? All the plants, all the animals, you recently, I forget what you called them, but those little moths we see this time of year.
Yeah, the common name is winter moth. I forget the scientific name. I think it's Bruce spanworm moth. They were all over the Biscuit Brook area, They are moths that come out in the wintertime. Um,
So where's that originate from? That endless
yeah,
encyclopedia of knowledge that you
Yeah.
just like flow with on a hike.
I did a video recording of them when I went up Spruceton, so that's an interesting.
it's not my background. I have no background in that. Probably until the year 2000, the only creatures I can identify would be like a blue jay and a Canada goose. I was the president of my local watershed association for many years here in New Jersey, and I still play a role in the group. That introduced me to a lot of naturalists who I spent time in the field with.
Mm.
Literally, I would be in my local park, and one of them would show up and say, Jeff, I have two, endangered snakes in my trunk of my car. Do you want to see? And oh my God. And the next thing you know, I'd be in the woods radio tagging these snakes and releasing them into the wild and tracking them with various naturalists.
Hmm.
So I just, a lot of it was just, hey, I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. I wonder what that is. Natural curiosity and learning more about the different species, in the forest, various bird calls. Um, I prefer plants because they don't run away.
Hmm.
So I love the spring. The spring is my favorite time to hike because there's so many spring wildflowers coming up, and you still have sunlight reaching the forest floor because the trees haven't leafed out. And what happens is a lot of these spring ephemerals will take advantage of those few weeks of sunlight before the leaves appear. And I just love seeing them at my feet, because you're looking down already because you don't want to wipe out on the trail. And it's incredible what you can find along the trail. I'm still learning birds. I'm getting better at it. I'm still learning fungi. I probably the largest chicken of the woods I ever found was at the summit of Balsam Mountain on a pleasant summer day, and I took them home, and I took some home, and I sautéed them with oil and some onions and had them as a sandwich, and they were delicious.
Oh yeah,
So
wow.
yeah, I could recognize a few edible mushrooms, not a lot, and I'm on the cautious side. So there's a very few number that I'm confident with, but
Do you have any apps that you recommend or that you use to help yourself?
there are a lot of apps. I use iNaturalist as my go-to app. That seems to be a popular app among a lot of naturalists. I've learned a lot from that. The other app I use for bird calls is Merlin, but Merlin requires an internet connection, which is hard to come by in the Catskills.
Yeah.
I had some nice yellow birds on the summit of Big Indian calling right above my head the other day. I thought they were goldfinches. I wasn't too sure they were a yellow bird, but I couldn't get a signal, so I couldn't really identify the call at that point. But I've hiked with people who don't even need an app. They're unbelievable, and their talents in identifying plants, animals, fungi. I'm really really impressed with it. Again, I'm just a guy who never had a background in this, and maybe in the last 15 years that I developed an interest just from spending time in the woods and looking around and asking, what is that? What is
Yeah.
that?
So have you ever thought of being a hike leader?
Sure, yeah, yeah. I've taken people out in New Jersey.
That sounds like a no.
I guess that's a bad question because you just got done telling us how you like the solitude of hiking.
It never crossed my mind, but you know what I did? I found that Facebook Marketplace is a great place to get free snowshoes. So I'm amassing a collection of used snowshoes, and I want to take people out snowshoeing this
There you
winter.
go.
Yeah, I've done that. My garage is filling up with snowshoes very rapidly.
Hoarding the market.
Yeah,
Talk to Sean off in the woods. Sean, talk to him. He's looking for snowshoes.
good idea.
All right. So what's your favorite hike?
I was at a Blackhead Range. I've probably done that more than any hike in the Catskills. I think 4 times. I've hiked it and haven't hiked it in the summer. I'm not much of a summer hiker, but I've hiked it in 3 seasons, and every time I go, it just takes my breath away. I've hiked it in snowstorms. I've hiked it on, hot fall days. I think the Blackhead Range, it's a very accessible hike. There's so many people on it. I love encountering people on that hike because they're all in a great mood and they're all happy to be there. The new trail work on Blackhead is fantastic. I don't know if you guys have
Oh
hiked
yeah,
it yet.
yeah.
The new trail reroute is an excellent job because in the past there was a lot of that loose, what's the word, Tad? Scree, you call it?
Scree.
Yeah. So descending Blackhead back towards Black Dome was always kind of dicey, but with the new trail reroute, it's really a pleasant walk. And I
Hmm.
think it's just a tremendous, tremendous view. Probably number two would be the view from Wyndham.
Yeah,
Just looking out, you can see Albany, you can see the Capitol, you can see Thatcher State Park, you can see the Berkshires. It's really a fantastic view from Wyndham as well.
Yeah.
yeah. And doubling back to hiking the Blackhead Range, it's the three highest peaks in succession, right? You've got three peaks that are at or about 4,000 feet in the Catskills. You don't find that in the Burroughs Range,
Yeah.
right? You don't find it elsewhere. So when you like in the winter, for me, when I really want to hit winter conditions, I just head over to the Blacks because they're up higher. They'll hold a lot of snow there. You get some really gnarly conditions going up the north side of Blackhead. It's a fun hike.
Yeah.
Where else would you? Well, I guess we have further down in the list here is about hiking in NJ. So what's your most memorable hike?
Yeah, so well, I mean, New Jersey really, as I said before, they actually have quite a very extensive trail network. I asked AI how many miles of trails are in New Jersey, even North Jersey. It wasn't able to give me a number, but the northern probably third of the state is where you'll find most of the trails, and the elevation can range, from a few hundred feet to about 1,800 feet. There's an area of New Jersey called the New Jersey Highlands region, which geologically speaking, that's like the eastern front of the Appalachian Mountains, and it runs through central and eastern PA, through North Jersey into Harriman State Park, and really up through the Berkshires. And a lot of those rocks could be over a billion years old. So they're probably some of the oldest rocks you're going to see in North America. They've withstood weathering more than the surrounding sedimentary rocks around it, and has withstood the glaciers a lot more. So I hike a lot of those areas. To the west, I've hiked what they call the Appalachian Ridges and Valleys. That's the northwest corner of the state. Geologically, that's more related to the Gunks. That contains some of the highest peaks in the state, between 15 and 1,800 feet. Our version of the long trail in New Jersey is called the Highlands Trail. It's 180 miles long. It starts in Cornwall, New York on the Hudson and runs southwest into New Jersey before ending at the Delaware River in Warren County. I probably hiked most of that trail. Now I'm curious to see if anyone has ever through hiked it or if there is an FKT for that trail. Because
Do it.
yeah, quite a lot of it's road walking in Western New Jersey, but the dog and I have explored probably most of it at this point. It's really a nice walk, and it really captures a lot of the Highlands area of New Jersey. What I wanted to mention, Ted, was probably the three popular hikes in New Jersey, and that might be familiar to probably a lot of your listeners, is Mount Tammany, which is a 1,500-foot peak on the Delaware River at the Delaware Water Gap. It's passed by millions of people a day because Route 80, Interstate 80, runs at the bottom of Mount Tammany across Delaware River into Pennsylvania. It's the most popular loop's about 3.5 miles. You'll know you're in New Jersey because no matter where you are, you'll hear the roar of traffic the whole time. And so it's a great view, but it's noisy. And it's probably the most popular trail in the state. Don't even try going there on a weekend. You're not going to get a parking spot. I've been there at 7 a.m. on a Monday, and there's a dozen cars in the lot. But it's spectacular, and I think everybody should do it once and just appreciate the view. It's a gorgeous view, and
I've
it's really
heard
all river
I've heard that
cuts.
Mount Tammany is actually a very good training spot for people when they do like one or two or three, like kind of like ascents to get that, elevation gain.
Yeah, I believe the trail up, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's about a mile and a half, and I don't know what the elevation gain is, but it's steep and painful. And yeah, it's a good training trail for the Catskills, definitely.
Yeah.
The second hike is in Northern Green State Forest. It's again insanely popular. It's Wyanoke High Point. The summit's only a few hundred feet. I think it's only 800 feet high, but it offers 360-degree views. For
There you
much
go.
of the hike, you can see the New York City skyline.
Oh,
And it's, I've been doing this hike for almost 20 years. And yeah, it's popular, but I never grow tired of it. There was actually a rescue there last week in that area. It's incredibly popular, and that's a must do if you're visiting New Jersey.
so Jeff, like
Yeah.
I visited the
Mhm.
Ramapo area, and I
Mhm.
find that a very fascinating area. I mean, just because the amount of trail that is up there in the Ramapo area and the amount of I would say geology that is up there because it's just once again you're traveling on flat surfaces and then you see over to your left a massive boulder that is just huge, stories high, like lengths wide, and I find the Ramapo area a very great area to hike in New Jersey. It's closer to the New York New Jersey trail like border stuff like that.
Correct. The trail conference is actually right down the road. Their headquarters right down the road from Ramapo,
Thought
and
so.
it's extremely popular. And again, geologically, it's similar to Harriman. You're talking about rocks that are a billion years old and have withstood glaciers and erosion, over millennia. The other hike stash is in New Jersey is probably the one of the most popular is the Stairway to Heaven, which is part of the Appalachian Trail. It packs 1,000 feet of elevation gain into 2.8 miles, and you're basically going straight up a talus slope. And once you get to the top, you'll just see, acres of farmland. You'll see the High Point Monument, which is a monument that New Jersey built to veterans on the highest point in the state at 1,800 feet. And it's, again, insanely popular. Parking may be at a premium on a weekend, but it's an incredible effort, and it's another good training hike if you're training to do something in the Catskills. I'm lazy. I go the back way, which adds probably about three times as much mileage, but the elevation gain is much more gradual at that point.
What about a difficult hike in New Jersey? I know
No,
that's
about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I did the Stone Town Circular, which is an 11-mile hike in New Jersey around some reservoirs, and it packs about 3,000 feet in elevation gain.
Hmm.
wow.
You know, it's much easier than Devil's Path, but it's a long day out, and I've met a few hikers who have trained for harder hikes on that hike. So that's probably I'll say the most difficult hike if you add mileage and elevation in the state. And again, fantastic views. You can see the New York City skyline, quite easily. It's a nice day out. The trails are all in very good shape. There's a lot of old woods roads you'll be walking on. A lot of this area, New Jersey, was once populated for mining and agriculture. So you'll see a lot of old towns that are abandoned in the woods. Old mines, mine shafts that are empty. You'll see the stone walls like you'll see in the Hudson Valley that were once part of forests. So it's a nice piece of history. And again, for me, it's close to home. The Catskills are 2.5 hours from my house. I'm 107 miles southwest of Catskill Falls, as the
Hmm.
crow flies.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's a little bit of distance there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you do any like sunrise, sunset hikes?
I'm usually an early morning hiker, so
Okay.
I'm not going to be in the ranger report at 8:30 at night on the trail. I'm usually starting at, I try to start before 8 a.m., sometimes before 7 a.m. Why, I don't know, just to avoid the crowds. I like spider webs, I guess,
Hmm.
my face. And, I don't have to worry about being trapped in the woods at night. Although I do have a headlamp, I rarely need it. So I'm usually a morning hiker, once in a while I'll do an evening hike, but that's more close to home. I just feel that it's, for me, it's a safety thing. If I get into trouble, it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
True.
The ranger will get to me in 2 hours in the Catskills, as we've learned today.
Yeah, wow, I like that. And the
Yeah,
spider webs kind of make you feel alive, kind of like you're the first person to ever hit this trail ever.
that's breakfast, Stosh.
It's
Yeah,
protein.
the spider was a breakfast. So
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't always be sure that the Rangers are going to get to you in 2 hours. That's in the Catskills. I mean, I know in like in the Adirondacks, that's for sure. You can be way, way out there and it's going to be, a long hike in. But there's some places in the Catskills where I think it's going to take more than 2 hours to get to somebody.
But what about New Jersey? That'll take like
Oh, Jersey? Yeah.
20
I guess,
minutes.
yeah.
See, so Jeff has the idea. He's like, I want to get these guys out by 10 o'clock and then they'll be up at 12.
I heard in Jersey, they don't even send the Rangers out. They just call DoorDash. They come get you.
Pizza.
You can always get a cell phone signal. So that's a it's a blessing and a curse sometimes.
Yeah. So are we ready to transition into the dog talk? Is that where we're going next with this, Stosh?
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? Like,
all right, so let's talk about Orla. Where's the name come? Breed, age? Give us the background on
Orla's
Orla.
a 7-year-old rescued English Pointer mix. I don't know what she's probably some sort of hunting dog because she points at a lot of critters. She pointed at the trail canister on Big Indian on Saturday.
that picture was phenomenal.
Yeah, she's a rescue dog. She's named after Orla McCool from the TV show Dairy Girls on Netflix with the Irish schoolgirls.
Stosh, you ever hear of that? I mean, where's this come from?
I just watched Dexter, so it was just
okay. I probably took her on her first hike when she was about 7 months old, and I discovered she was very receptive to food, which made training her relatively easy. And the secret is, no matter where you go in life, always carry dog treats. I think every pair of pants I have has dog treats in the pocket, and that helped a lot with training my dog for good recall, for knowing certain commands and being receptive to commands. So I always trained her with food, and she never left my side. And she's really a Velcro dog around the house or on the trail. Ascending a trail, she will, especially the Devil's Path. She'll go run up to the top and sit there and look at me like, "What's taking you so long?" The downhill, this dog is in my ankles, which has not been a safety hazard yet. But it's very reassuring to know that she sticks with the people. She doesn't have any interest in deer, other dogs, other hikers. She responds to commands. I have a command called leash, so that she'll go and she'll leash up. I have a command called up the mountain, where she'll run up the mountain and wait for me at the top of the mountain as I slowly ascend, Devil's Path or something similar. She'll know the command up on a rock. So she'll jump up on a rock, look around, I'll take a picture. So we have worked on some commands that way. She has no interest in bears. Catskill bears, I found, run away at high speed when they see humans coming. New Jersey bears, Stosh, they don't give a fuck. They will just stay there and do their own thing, and they don't care if you are 5 feet away. You just walk by them. You're like, "Sup, bear?" They're like, "Sup, people? Sup, dog?" And you just keep going. So, the dog has no interest in bears. Thank God the bears have no interest in her, and that is kind of reassuring at this point. And we've had very nice encounters with bears in the woods. Bushwhacking has been great. We were going from Fur to Big Indian on Saturday, and we were following what I call a herd path, but not the herd path. And Orla kept on trying to get me back on the popular herd path. So her nose is great for bushwhacking. We hiked with a large group of your listeners last month on the escarpment trail, and we went to the Camp Steel point on the escarpment, and then bushwhacked to a spectacular viewpoint, which really had almost the entire Devil's Path in front of us. And we weren't sure how we were going to get back to the trail, and I just could tell Orla, I tell her to go home, and she goes to the woods, and she'll find that scent of humanity, pretty quickly.
Wow.
So it's I don't even need a GPS with her sometimes. we were camping on the top of North Mountain, and I had to take a 2 mile detour to get water down at North South Lake because we were backpacking, and it was dark, and I said, "How the hell am I going to get back to my campsite?" And the dog found her way back. I just told her to go home, and she found her way back to the campsite in the dark. And it was not an easy walk. There was no herd path to the campsite, but we found it. So it's I'm happy that she has a great nose, and she's never gotten me lost at this point. And we've done quite a fair amount of bushwhacking, and she's gotten me back to humanity, to my car, to the trail, to the campsite, something like that. So, it's yeah, the dog kind of knows your signals and your mood, and can read a human, I think, better than we give them credit for.
Wow.
They kind of know what you're looking for, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so there we go. So she's hiked thousands of miles. I don't even know how to count. I can't even begin to count. I've done one hike without her since she was born, and that was Mount Katahdin in Maine, because dogs are not allowed in Baxter State Park.
Oh wow.
Wow,
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
So, like
yeah.
any safety precautions that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
throw out?
that's good. So again, you have to be familiar with your dog. You have to know your dog's personality. Some dogs are better on a leash under constant control of people. Some are not. You have to learn that from an early age, and you have to have your dog trained, to respond to your commands at all time. Make sure your dog can recall. Again, we have the leash command. We see people coming, leash goes on.
Is this
She,
Jeff? So have you progressed this like training with the treats and stuff like that?
Yeah,
So
with food. Yeah, the
okay,
dog
yeah,
knows to come to me. She'll actually stop, freeze. Let me put the leash on. She gets a treat. So now,
nice.
it works well. How can your dog deal with weather conditions? The dog and I do not like hot weather. In fact, this was my first summer. I've hiked more this summer than I probably have my entire life.
Yeah,
Due
this
to
summer sucked with weather. Like it's just
Yeah,
humid,
it
hot.
was hot. So, you have to, if we do summer hiking, it's always got to include a swimming hole. Even last month I did that hunter loop that you did, Stosh. We're jumping in Diamond Notch Falls.
Yeah.
I did another hike recently. We were going in Colgate Lake because it was hot, afterwards. So, you don't want the dog to overheat. You have to make sure that, depending on the weather, you have to take advantage of the water. So, thank God the dog loves the water. I can't keep her out of water. She'll go in the water even this time of year, and I got
That's
to make
gotta be
sure she
fun.
stays warm. Yeah. So in the winter, Stosh, some of the things I do, I do. The dog is a short-haired dog. Some people have long-haired dogs that are better equipped for cold weather. My dog is not. So she does wear a fleece vest. If it's really, really cold, like in the Catskill single digits, I'll actually put warming packets inside that vest.
Nice.
I'll stick it inside
Wow.
the vest, which is great. If you're hiking, your hands are cold, you just stick your hands in there and boom, your hands are nice and toasty. There's a product called Musher's Wax, which I believe was used for sled dogs. It's it's like chapstick, but for dogs' paws. I put that on her paws when it's very cold out to keep them from drying out, to keep them from cracking. For dogs with long fur, I was told it's a good product to keep the snow from bunching up in between their paws and causing painful conditions.
This is for paws, right? Like the mushers
Yeah,
waxed. Okay.
Musher's Wax, I think is the common brand, like a Band-Aid, but there's a couple other manufacturers. It's some sort of product like a chapstick that
I've heard of
goes
that.
on their
It's like what
paws.
is the cow thing that people
Um,
use?
yeah,
Yeah, we don't have to. Yeah,
I
it's
know what that is too, but this is more like a waxy substance, and
okay.
it's very effective. It's very effective. So, as you talked about, Stosh, Saturday was the start of I believe shotgun or rifle season in the Catskills for hunting. So blaze orange is important to wear. I wear it. The dog has a vest. What's great about the vest is you can spray it with permethrin to keep the ticks away.
Hmm.
It's very effective. I actually stash it in my car in case we're just doing a quick walk after work. So make sure your dog is ready for hunting season. We've run into plenty of hunters in the woods. We've done a lot of bushwhacking. They've all been super cool with everything. I just tell them I haven't seen a single piece of game all day.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, I mean, you talk about winter, like,
Mhm.
with you say you don't hike much in the summer, but still ticks are like, I wouldn't say year round, but they're kind of year round. What is your preventive measure with dog?
I've had ticks on me in 30-degree weather in New Jersey. I found the Catskills. I know you had different experiences with ticks, Stash,
My ass
but I
crack.
have,
Yeah.
knock on wood, I've never had a tick on me or the dog in the Catskills. Harriman State Park's a different story. New Jersey's a different story. Make sure your dog is up to date on their flea and tick medication. Again, if
What do you
they
suggest? What do you use? Is it,
Stash, I don't know.
is
The
it
the
net
vet
like my I
Next
use
guard. Next
Next
guard, is
Guard?
that what
That's
it
what
is?
I use.
Yes.
Yep.
It's
That's what
very
I
it's
use.
very effective. In fact, it's so effective, Stosh, that I've come home after a day of hiking and the dog sleeps in bed with me and I've woken up the next morning to a bed full of dead ticks.
Oh, nice.
So
How lovely.
yeah,
Why
isn't that
can't we fricking do
delightful?
that? We can do that for dogs, but we can't make that for humans. What the fuck?
Well, Tad and I, that's a political discussion we can have maybe at another day. Why there's no Lyme disease vaccine for humans, but we'll discuss that again someday.
Someday.
There is one in the works. I do know that for a fact. So there is a Lyme disease vaccine, in the works for humans. So let's see what happens.
Hopefully.
But Stash, the other thing I wanted to be aware of is first aid. Be able to take care of first aid issues with your dog on the trail. There are slings you can get for a dog if your dog has to be carried out. I haven't had to do that at this point, but I've had to perform first aid on my dog. If she got a cut on the trail, I bring gauze and I guess tape to wrap up her paw in case it gets injured. So we've had injuries on the trail. Thank God they were minor, but be prepared for first aid on dogs as well.
Yeah. And I don't, I'm not as sure with the Rangers would be with a kind of like a canine or stuff like that response of a 911, with that. I know up in the White Mountains, the New Hampshire fishing game can't respond to that, but they do have like a preventative measure up there with people who can respond to that as like well if you post on social media and stuff like that. So I don't know, with that, with how our rangers will respond with saying, my canine broke their leg, like, can you help us? So we haven't had that sort of situation. So post it on social media. I'll fucking be up there within an hour and a half if I can.
Yeah, I think if I had to be wheeled out in a litter, the dog it wouldn't be an issue. The dog would probably be right beneath the litter on the way out. She does
Yeah.
not leave my side, so it's reassuring. It's reassuring when we're camping. Especially in a lean-to, because in a lean-to, you're exposed to the one side is open, so the dog can just take off at a moment. But she doesn't do that.
So
She spent nights in lean-tos, and even the mice run over her, and she does not really bother by them.
nice. So has there ever been any time that you've like Orla has been ahead of you and stopped and like done that pointer effect of where like shit, something's going on. Maybe I should like do a 360 scan and stuff and be aware.
She's pointed at bears before I spotted them, and then we realized they're not an issue, and when we proceed on our way. That was really about it.
No porcupine incidents or something like that?
I've only seen one porcupine in the Catskills, and that was driving to the Catskill High Peak trailhead on the road. So we've been
Wow.
fortunate not to spot any porcupines. We've seen plenty in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, but we've only seen them on the road in the Catskills. So yeah, porcupines are an issue. Yeah, that's an expensive vet bill if your dog gets in a porcupine. But again, Orla is pretty laid back, and I don't think she would really have much of an interest in a porcupine. And again, I'll just tell her to leave it alone, and she'll leave it alone. We've been pretty good.
Yeah.
Uh,
How
but
long have you had Orla?
She's 7 years old, so she's been hiking for almost for about 7 years almost. You know,
Wow.
she's done a couple high peaks Adirondacks, a couple backpacking trips. New Jersey, Catskills. I'm getting the patch for her, Stosh. I don't really care about the patch. She's getting the patch on her backpack.
Nice. Good
Yeah,
for her.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah. She can't go to the dinner though at the 3500 Club, however, but she will get the patch.
Yo. Why not? No. Have this
Yeah,
has
that's so
ever been
wrong.
addressed?
I don't. That's up to the 3500 Club, but they could have like a dog ceremony where they have an outdoor
Yeah.
picnic area where they get their patches there.
No,
I will-
you just need to tell them that she's a hiker that identifies as a dog.
It could be the case.
Yeah.
It could be
So,
the case.
all right.
Oh, man.
So moving along, I wasn't planning to join in tonight, and so I shamefully didn't review what Stosh wanted to cover and add my 2 cents until moments before the show. But I did glance over the list, and I thought that the only thing I could add was what I call gear talk. And I deliberately chose the name Gear Talk because it's deceptive and misleading. What I want to talk to Jeff about is not hiking gear, not dog gear, but high fidelity stereo gear. He's got a big smile on his face now, fans. I haven't seen you post anything recently. He's looking over his shoulder. I know from his posts, Jeff is into vinyl. Why don't you tell us what, for the younger people who may not have a clue what vinyl is, tell us about vinyl turntables, component stereo systems, and why you got all that stuff.
You could probably see it on the camera here today. Yeah, just back there. A lot of it's I have an old stereo system. Old for me is the 70s. Old for some of your listeners is the 90s. So, I have various components here. I have a whole wall of records, which is off camera at this point. So, I don't listen to music when I hike. When I not hiking, I listen a lot of music. And it runs the gamut, man. It runs the absolute gamut. I actually go to a music festival every Labor Day weekend in the Catskills, in the village of Catskill, actually, which is it's basically like an oldies show for 90s college radio nerds, which I was many years ago. And it's a great gathering, and they do a fantastic job supporting local business in the village of Catskill. And Westkill Brewery, I believe, participates, and a lot of the businesses in the village, open their doors to the guests. So, I do come up there for my music fix, when I'm not home listening, and it's just another interest of mine. It's pretty good, I'm glad that my 22-year-old son comes to the house. He goes to a record collection. He takes a few out and takes them with him, and that's how you pass it on to another generation. I taught him how to go hiking.
Yeah.
Taught him appreciation for nature, and now I'm teaching him how to appreciate music. And I think that's our obligation as parents, to kind of teach your kids positive values. Tad, like your daughter is, out climbing the mountains of the world. I'm sure she got that from you.
Yeah,
or part of it from you.
Yeah, I gave her the appreciation of nature, like you mentioned of your son. It was one of my kind of proud parenting moments when she actually thanked me for that. And at present, she's doing a seasonal gig out in Boulder, hanging Christmas lights and Christmas decorations with other rock climbing friends out there. So I notice on your posts that you proudly display your turntable and LP, some music, and I've still got an old record collection and some old stereo gear from the 70s and early 80s that I hope to pass off as my daughter's inheritance from me.
And Tad, a lot of hiking gear I've purchased for cheap. My favorite hiking shorts I got for $3 at a thrift store. My hiking backpack, I think I paid $20 for it probably 20 years ago, and it served me well over the years. I bought a pair of MSR Ascent snowshoes last year for $20, never used. Someone was getting rid of them because they weren't snowshoeing. And the same thing is with the stereo equipment. My turntable is 30 years old. my friend who is of a certain age, I'm not going to mention how old he is, called me up and said, Jeff, I'm getting rid of this. Before I throw it out, do you want it? I said, sure. So, you can amass this stuff on a budget. You can hike on a budget.
Yeah.
I think the discussion of, record collecting, and hiking gear, for me, it's kind of sometimes it's a consumeristic flex is what I call it. And you can do it on a budget. And I think, Stash, a future episode really has to be, hiking on a budget in these economically lean times that we live in right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's when we'll bring you back. We'll bring you back with that conversation.
Oh yeah.
Budget hiking. And I guess this is maybe where Stash wants to segue from budget hiking to bucket list. What do you say, Stash?
Yeah. What do you have anything on? I mean, you said you've hiked all over the place with Orla. You got anything on the bucket list with her to do? Like
bucket list, sometimes hiking, Stash, I wake up in the morning and I determine where am I going today? Or other times I plan it months in advance. So I think I mentioned earlier, I think I want to do more exploring in the Western Catskills. One good thing about the Catskills is that it's taught me how to bushwhack, especially I have a dog who's pretty good at it. So I've done some bushwhacking in New Jersey to some plane crash sites, to some old abandoned, properties. So I've gotten a lot more confident in that. But, I don't have, until last December 20th, I was never a checklist hiker. And that's no offense to you, Tad, going for your All Trails Challenge. But it was never my interest. But what it's done is it just opened up other areas for me to go explore and to just enjoy a day out. And again, appreciate my five senses when I'm out in the woods. Take advantage of it.
Do you have any like hardcore suggestions with the listeners that are hiking with dogs right now?
I be prepared for, know your dog. That's all I can tell you. Know how your dog is with you on the trail at all times, and it's going to be a good time. And then the dog comes home and is tired. On holidays, you got to take the dog out for a couple hours because you're having company, and you come home, you're relaxed, the dog's relaxed, everybody's happy, and your guests look at you like you're absolutely insane because you hiked Fern Big Indian in the snow, and they don't even know where that is. But I have a lot of stories that Monday at work to tell my coworkers, and they give me a look like I'm out of my mind.
So I agree 100%. Yeah. They don't really give a shit. And I'm just like, screw you. What did you do? Watch TV? Yeah, screw you.
Yeah. I could do that in a nursing home someday. That's fine.
Yeah. So, also, last question. I know you've asked us, but have you rated the podcast 5 stars yet?
I thought I did. If I didn't, I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay,
yeah. Well,
okay.
If you buy a few burner phones and set up a few, email accounts, you can almost rate it once a month, if not once a week. And actually, Jeff, I mean, that's what we're expecting from you as one of our sponsors, is to give us a 5-star review at least every week.
Every week, each and every week.
I've voted for you guys enough for best podcast. I'm sure I can handle this.
Yeah, all right. You. Yes. Jeff's our kind of guy.
And yeah, I agree. And it was great to have you on the show. But the last question, you said you've been gearing up for this for 2 years. Post-hike brews and bites. What do you got for us?
First of all, Stash, I have some pre-hike brews and bites. Now,
pre-hike.
A lot of times I start early in the morning. But if I do start hiking later in the day, I think one of my favorite breakfast spots is Willa's in the village of Catskill.
How do you spell that? Willa's?
Willas.
Okay, I thought so. Okay.
They have fantastic pancakes. They open at 9:00. So if I'm hiking later in the day, I will stop at Willa's when they open. And they're very dog friendly, very nice staff, fantastic breakfast there. My other breakfast place is C&B Kitchen in Cairo. Cairo, is that how it's pronounced? Cairo?
Cairo.
Yeah.
It depends how many pre-hike brews and bites you had.
Yeah.
Well, that's post-hike brews and bites. But
okay.
I go there and stock up on bread and bring it home and throw it in the freezer with the Stewart's ice cream. So they have an excellent breakfast. Very nice staff there as well. Post-hike brews and bites. Again, there's Westkill, there's Catskill Brewery. you're a cider guy, Stosh. Left Bank Ciders in Catskill Village is fantastic. I like their
Left
Bank.
Interesting. Haven't
It's
heard that.
outside the line, but it's a short drive from Catskill Falls. Their ciders tend more towards the drier side.
Okay.
So, we're going to get you to enjoy some drier beverages like the grown-ups drink. And I think you'll like
Wow.
Left Bank.
Jeff, how old are you?
Yeah.
I'm older than you, Stosh, but no one's as old as Tad on this podcast.
Oh, he's
Correct.
like, barbs are being thrown here, folks.
That's
wow.
right.
So I guess Jeff won't be coming back for bargain or budget hiking.
Jeff, you're
Yeah.
on his
It's going out with
How
the
old are you?
bang.
Really? For real?
I'm up there. I'm a Gen X listener here. But back to the food. So if I'm in the Western Catskills, I like Van Smokey in Livingston Manor.
Ooh.
They have a lot of local meats there. It's a good place to support local farmers. And my dog is a fan of Mama's Boy because they have dishes for dogs there.
Yeah.
They have meals for dogs. And looking for a diner. No one's mentioned on your podcast yet was Selena's in Haines Falls.
Sure.
Is a very serviceable diner.
Yep.
Nice big menu, and I've gone there as well. So there's a lot of places eating in the Catskills, a lot of great businesses I've found, and every time I go up there, I try to support one of them.
Well, definitely thank you for that, because there's definitely awesome selections on there that hopefully when I get to visit the eastern part of the Catskills and stuff, I will go to. Van Smokey's is definitely.
They're the Western Cats stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. That's definitely a place I can visit. So. Excellent, Jeff. Thank you once again very much for being on the show, and once again for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Glad to have you on. Glad to hear your suggestions on hiking with dogs, your New Jersey hiking selections and such areas and stuff like that. So if you need a suggestion to get out to New Jersey, get a hold of Jeff on his Instagram. It'll be in the show notes. You will contact him, and he will get back to you ASAP. Right, Jeff?
Promptly.
Awesome. So once again, thank you to the monthly supporters and monthly sponsors. Really appreciate it. Once again, your donations aren't going in just in the show, but into the Catskills as well. Thank you to everyone who is still listening to the show. 197 episodes in, and we are rocking it with Jeff tonight. So have a good night, Jeff. Really appreciate you joining the show, taking your time, and we'll catch you on the trail in the future, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. See you out there.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I just want to thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and throw down a smooth review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform that you use. You can also check daily updates of the podcast, hikes, hiking news, and local news on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the official website of the show. Remember this, you gotta just keep on living in the Catskills, man. Livin.
Wicked.